Chapter 3550. Then what's the reason? Yi Qing Luo was curious, or could it be? Because you know about my relationship with Ah Xian, so in order to get into his good books, you made use of me and Ah Xian to build a relationship, that's why you treat me so well? Old Lai rolled his eyes. Does Hell Palace look like a place that would build a relationship with other powerhouses? I admit that the Overlord is indeed very strong and his status is respectable, but Hell Palace had always been an independent powerhouse, so we absolutely would not cater to anyone just to please someone. Look, this tone was filled with pride. And that complacent little gaze. It was as though he couldn't wait to tell the entire world that his Hell Palace was different from those flirtatious sluts outside, just that elegant and refined. Alright, although she didn't know much about Hell Palace. But Yi Qing Luo also admitted that Hell Palace indeed didn't look like they would lower their status just to please Dmo Xian, to follow by her side. Thinking of this, Yi Qing Luo became even more curious. Then why on earth did you help me? You really don't remember? Old Lai's white brows creased. Yi Qing Luo propped her chin. What should I remember? Secluded Palace's people wanted to make use of Hell Palace to help them manufacture ghost flame candles. If it wasn't for you and the Overlord's help, I'm afraid the entire Hell Palace would have been reduced to ghost flame candles. Old Lai explained patiently, back then Hell Palace said that Hell Palace owed you a favor, so as long as you come to the Earth Realm, no matter what you need, Hell Palace will do their best to help you. Yi Qing Luo suddenly saw the light as her mouth opened wide. Seems like there's such a thing. In your eyes, how unbearable is Hell Palace, that you can even forget the favor I promised you? Mentioning this point, Old Lai almost broke down. How many people wanted to take advantage of Hell Palace, and the price might be to exchange their lives for it. He took the initiative to open his mouth, owing Yi Qing Luo a favor. In a blink of an eye, she had totally forgotten about Hell Palace. Baby Lai's heart was stuffed. Yi Qing Luo coughed lightly. You can't blame me for forgetting. Who asked Hell Palace's reputation to be so bad? Back then you said you owed me a favor, but I totally didn't expect Hell Palace to return this favor. After all, even if Hell Palace goes back on their words, that's normal. How is it normal? Old Lai slammed the table. Although the Hell Palace is a bit overbearing and barbaric, killing people at the slightest disagreement, or capturing people for experiments, doing all kinds of bad things, but the Hell Palace has always kept its promises. Yes, I know now, I know. Yi Qing Luo raised her hands in surrender. Stop hitting, the things here can't withstand your strength. However, when this palm strike landed, apart from the loud banging of the table was still stable and did not seem to shake at all. Lao Lai's slap on the table just now was not small. An ordinary table would more or less be affected by this palm. Yi Qing Luo seemed to have thought of something as she raised her hand and slowly touched the tea set on the table. Curling his fingers, he knocked on the table. As expected, this table looked rather old on the surface. But it was a table made of top-grade wood. Only aristocratic families or wealthy merchants could afford to use this kind of wood. Chapter 3551. No. Old Lai didn't understand Yi Qing Luo's sudden silence and change of topic. He answered Yi Qing Luo's question directly and couldn't help but complain. You asked me to follow that lass to the West Cliff Mountain, saying it was to protect her safety. Then you asked me to find an excuse to leave midway, but in fact I was secretly observing her. What was that for? Are you suspecting that there's something wrong with that lass? Not really suspecting. Yi Qing Luo shook her head, just curious about her identity. Identity? Old Lai frowned. How do you know she has another identity? What other identity does she have? Yi Qing Luo's body leaned slightly against the back of the chair as she immediately raised one hand. The fingers of his other hand pinched a corner of his sleeve. Ah Shing brought them back to the treasure-gathering hall when they were young, and they relied on concocting pills to make ends meet. Even the treasure-gathering hall has slowly turned into a small-scale trading hall like this. This shows that their days are tough and they are poor. This broken-down place is indeed very poor. Old Lai looked around with a look of disgust. But, under such a hard situation, the clothes she wears are very good material. Yiqing Luo rubbed her sleeves. This kind of material, at least rich businessmen can afford to wear it. Not only her clothes, the material is excellent, there's also Ah Sheng. Don't think that Ah Sheng is dressed in gray, looking very down and out, but his clothes are extremely soft, absolutely will not hurt his skin. Yiqing Luo paused for a moment and immediately placed her hand on the table, and the decorations here, although it looks simple and unremarkable, but in actual fact. No matter if it's the table or the chairs, they are all made from top-quality wood. Old Lai couldn't understand these things at all. How can you be so sure that this is related to that lass? Perhaps it's Pei Sheng that brat's doing. Ah Sheng is not that smart. Yiqing Luo denied directly without thinking. If it's him, the treasure-gathering exchange wouldn't become like this. To Pei Sheng, the treasure-gathering exchange hall was everything to him. If he was really not as simple as he looked on the surface, he would have long reorganized the treasure-gathering exchange hall. And not to the extent that, the signboard was taken down. Pei Sheng, who was inexplicably accused of not being smart. Achoo! Was someone talking about him? Then tell me, why do you think it's that girl? Lao Lai was curious. He somehow felt that everything seemed to be under Yiqing Luo's control. It seemed like Yiqing Luo knew everything. TSK, no wonder the Overlord had taken a liking to her. Only the Overlord would be able to tame such a woman. Yiqing Luo tilted her head and pointed at Chi-Chi, who was curled up into a ball on the bed. The way she looked at Chi-Chi was very strange. If I didn't guess wrongly, she should have recognized Chi-Chi's identity. You can recognize it? Lao Lai looked at Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi's palm-sized body was snow-white, just like a newborn kitten. It was adorable and cute, and it was a world of difference from the white tiger sacred beast, one of the 4 legendary sacred beasts. So, I suspect her identity. Yiqing Luo nodded, although I don't feel any malicious intent from her, but after all, I don't know her background, and I don't know the purpose of her concealing her identity, so I feel a little uneasy. Chapter 35-52. Half an hour? Yiqing Luo looked at him seriously. Under your eyes, how could she disappear for half an hour? Old Lai's face turned red. That half an hour when she disappeared, the medicine basket was still there. A young lady needs some private time. How can an old man like me follow her? Because the medicine basket was there. Old Lai thought that Gu Zishi was looking for a secluded place to solve her squatting problem. Private time doesn't need half an hour. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes. She's such a young lady, to be able to live in peace in a place like West Cliff Mountain, she must have some secret there. She touched her chin. Can you help me investigate the relationship between the blood mercenary group and her? Old Lai. He was from the Hell Palace. Now he had fallen to the stage of running errands for a young lass. Another stalker. Another investigator. What did she treat the Hell Palace as? Old Lai expressed his disobedience. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. You still say you owe me a favor, and that if I need anything, you will do your best to help me. I haven't even asked you to do anything and you're already showing an unwilling face. She paused for a moment, clicked her tongue and shook her head in disappointment. Indeed, you can't believe the Hell Palace's words. Old Lai's face turned steely green as he squeezed out 2 words, I, go. He really shouldn't have told this little demoness the reason why he would help her. At least, this little demoness wouldn't order him around without any ill feelings. Old Lai expressed that if he knew that he would meet this demoness today, he would never come to Without Embroiling City. Looking at Old Lai's twisted face, that hideous scar on his face was squirming horribly. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes as her pink lips curled into a big smile, nodding in satisfaction. good boy. Old Lai's features became even more twisted. Young lady, aren't you afraid that I will go crazy and kill you? Oh. Yiqing Luo lowered her head and continued to work on the herbs. Then are you afraid that Xian will go crazy and destroy the Hell Palace? Bullying young lady. Old Lai gritted his teeth. Yiqing Luo replied, bullying others is also a kind of ability, at least I have a backer who is willing to rely on me. Old Lai flicked his sleeves and left. Looking at Old Lai's disappearing figure, Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laugh. Old Lai's character was somewhat similar to teacher Guiyu. It was easier to deal with such a straightforward person. She smiled and hung her head. Time was running out. He had to hurry up and refine the item that he was going to use to turn the situation around tomorrow. In the medicine basket, there was still a large pile of messy herbs waiting for her to sort them out. Yiqing Luo took a deep breath and threw herself into the medicinal herbs. About an hour later, Yiqing Luo had finally tidied up the medicinal herbs in the 2 medicine baskets, and those medicinal herbs which were to be used, were distributed to the side according to the proportion. What made Yiqing Luo astonished was that the quality of these medicinal herbs were not bad at all. Yiqing Luo indicated that West Cliff Mountain had successfully attracted her attention. Once everything was over, she would definitely go to the West Cliff Mountain and sweep it clean. The herbs stored in the profound phoenix ring needed to be refurbished. Yiqing Luo packed all the medicinal herbs which she was going to use later into a medicinal basket and carried it directly to the bed. The lady's soft bed was instantly occupied by a large pile of medicinal herbs. Yiqing Luo sat at the head of the bed, and with a jolt of her consciousness, these medicinal herbs were all brought into the azure dew bracelet. Old Man Tsang was suspended in mid-air, swinging his legs. Chapter 3553. Not medicinal pills. Yiqing Luo hugged the medicine basket and walked to the cauldron dragon's side. Then what do you want to refine? Old Man Tsang floated down, his nose twitched as he sniffed the herbs in the basket. Then, he frowned. These herbs are to improve the skin and regulate the toxins in the body. What do you want to do? Yiqing Luo was busy with the preparation work in her hands as she replied, women's money is easy to earn. Women go crazy for their looks, even more crazy than those cultivators who want to improve their strength. Old Man Tsang. For a moment, he felt speechless. In the 100-pill refining manual, there were all kinds of pill refining recipes. There were also a lot of beauty nourishing, physique improving, endocrine improving, and body fragrance formulas. Refining beauty and nourishing ointment was much more reliable than refining elixirs that strengthened the body and raised profound energy. Most importantly, the herbs were relatively simple. And refining a pellet to raise profound strength, in a situation where there was no guarantee. Others might not believe in her pills. After the preparations were complete, Yiqing Luo then threw herself into refining the beauty-nourishing ointment. The next morning, Yiqing Luo slowly poured the ointment into a sparkling white jade bottle from the cauldron dragon. The jade bottle was about the size of 2 fingers, transparent and radiating light. The pink ointment in the jade bottle seemed to be plated with a layer of color, very tempting. Yiqing Luo filled the ointment into 4 bottles. After finishing these, Old Man Tsang's voice sounded, "Lass, someone is approaching your room." Yiqing Luo put the jade bottle away and used her divine sense. She opened her eyes and coincidentally heard a knock on the door. "Ah Luo, are you awake?" Yiqing Luo got down from the bed piled with herbs and used her fingers to comb her loose black hair. "I'm up." She opened the door and saw a dirty Gu Zishi standing at the doorway. When she saw Yiqing Luo, her eyes brightened. "Ah Luo, did you succeed?" The woman was panting. Yiqing Luo also saw the sweat on her forehead. Obviously, Gu Zishi had rushed back early in the morning. It was probably to confirm whether she had successfully refined the beautifying ointment. After all, this was the only chance to save Ju Bao. Yiqing Luo took out a bottle. "I've succeeded, I've refined 4 bottles. I'll take this bottle first to test the effect. 4 bottles? Gu Zixi eyes widened. With those herbs, I can only make 2 portions of ointment at most. Yiqing Luo smiled. The proportion of medicinal herbs is absolutely not the slightest bit off, you can rest assured. Gu Zixi took the bottle, her hands trembling. Who should we find to test the effects? Judging from Xing's good impression of the citizens yesterday, it shouldn't be that difficult to find someone to test the effect. Yiqing Luo pondered for a moment. Let's do some publicity first, then find a lady with spots or pimples on her face to test it in public. At this point, she touched her chin again and smiled evilly. It's best to blow it up. If Xiao Yulu is so angry that she rushes over to add more scenes, our free publicity will be secured. Gu Zixi, why did she feel that Luo was getting more and more cunning? If Xiao Yulu knew that her role was just a publicity tool, she wondered if she would be so angry that she would vomit blood. Gu Zixi wiped her dirty face. I'll do it now. Chapter 3554. Gu Zixi realized that her appearance was in a mess as her gaze swiftly shot towards the tightly shut door next door. She was sure that Pei Sheng hadn't seen her dirty and messy appearance. Then she speedily rushed into the room and closed the door. Yiqing Luo only realized that she was in a sorry state now. Yiqing Luo shook her head as she walked back to her room and started to wash up. By the time the both of them appeared in the main hall, Pei Sheng had already prepared breakfast and was preparing it. Old Lai was already seated at the dining table and started to eat. Yiqing Luo's vision fell onto the other side of the dining table, on the man who was drinking his tea elegantly. Why are you here so early in the morning? Xiao Yinyan calmly put down his teacup. I want to see what you are going to use to let treasure gathering obtain the honor of the best trading house. Yiqing Luo didn't reply as she pulled Gu Zixi, whose head was hung low, not knowing what she was thinking about, to sit by the dining table. Pei Sheng hurriedly filled a bowl of porridge and placed it in front of Yiqing Luo. Immediately after, he filled another bowl and placed it in front of Gu Zixi. Gu Zixi coincidentally raised her hand to take the wooden chopsticks on the table. He raised his hand and touched Pei Sheng's hand. Pei Sheng's hand shook as he speedily put down the porridge and retracted his hand. That handsome face with his drooping eyes drifted erratically. Gu Zixi's pupils contracted as she stood up abruptly and speedily held Pei Sheng's hand. Her fair little hand held the man's big palm tightly. Although Pei Sheng looked extremely slender, but his palm was half the size of Gu Zixi's. Gu Zixi used both her hands to hold Pei Sheng's hand tightly. Your hand, why is it so cold? Gu Zixi asked worriedly. Did you keep watch at the medical hall for the entire night? The lady's soft hand was as smooth as silk. It even carried a lady's unique fragrance. Pei Sheng only felt that the pair of hands which was holding him was like a ball of raging fire, burning incessantly. His heart was being burnt by this raging fire as his heart started to beat wildly. What on earth was going on? In the past, no matter how intimate the both of them were, he wouldn't feel any inappropriateness or discomfort. Why? Now, as long as his little sister got close to him, he couldn't control his own body, his own thoughts? Was it because there were other people around? Or, without hesitation, Pei Sheng quickly withdrew her hand from Gu Zixi's grasp. He lowered his head and said in a low voice, I'm fine. Don't worry. Hurry up and have your breakfast. Gu Zixi was stunned. She looked down at her hands that had been freed, and her eyelashes trembled slightly. He raised his head and stared at Pei Sheng. However, Pei Sheng averted her gaze, not daring to look at her. She even went straight to the backyard. I'm going to prepare the decoction and send it to the clinic later. After saying that, he rushed into the backyard. Gu Zixi stared at Pei Sheng's departing figure with an indescribably subtle expression on her face. She stood in front of the dining table in a daze. Yiqing Luo was by her side. He could clearly feel Gu Zixi trembling body. Yiqing Luo sighed as she stretched out her hand to pull Gu Zixi's sleeve and pressed her down on the chair. Don't push me too hard, fill your stomach first, we still have work to do later. Gu Zixi didn't say a word as she lowered her head and mechanically picked up the chopsticks, eating the porridge in silence. Looking at the distracted Gu Zixi, Yiqing Luo heaved a long sigh as she patted her shoulder. Chapter 35-55. Xiao Yinyan shook his head. I'm not sure about that. Why are you looking for a woman with a scar on her face? Publicity. Yiqing Luo replied. Xiao Yinyan paused for a moment, a trace of surprise appearing on his face. The item you want to bid on at the auction is something that can remove marks from a woman's face? Yiqing Luo snapped her fingers, smart. Xiao Yinyan frowned. Since you know how to refine pills, why don't you directly refine pills that can raise profound strength? Something that can remove the marks on a woman's face, no matter how effective it is, there won't be that many people who would want to bid for it. Yiqing Luo raised a finger and shook it. Young Master Qiao, don't underestimate women's craziness for their looks. As long as it's effective, the rich ladies and madams in Without Embroiling City will definitely beg for it. Xiao Yinyan had a look of disbelief on his face as he said, no matter where we are, we respect the strong. As long as we are strong enough, it doesn't matter what we look like. This is what you men think. Yiqing Luo smiled slyly. Want to make a bet? Xiao Yinyan raised an eyebrow. You set Princess Yulu up, and now you want to set me up as well? Yiqing Luo giggled. Didn't you not believe it? How am I tricking you? I'm clearly giving you a chance to prove yourself. Xiao Yinyan looked at the smiling girl in front of him for a long time before he slowly smiled and said, Fine, I'll bet with you. Then it's settled. Yiqing Luo clapped her hands to seal the deal. How do you want to bet? What kind of prize? Xiao Yinyan, the bet is, whoever loses will become the other party's slave for a month, how about that? Yiqing Luo nodded, no problem. As the two of them sang together, the atmosphere at the dining table warmed up a little. Gu Zixi reluctantly drank half a bowl of porridge, then used the excuse of going to the West Cliff Mountain to collect herbs and left with the basket on her back. He had even forgotten about the promotion of the beautifying ointment. Soon after, Pei Sheng and the servants of the Qiao clan carried a large pot of medicine to the medical hall. The way they left one after another made Yiqing Luo speechless. These two people, wasn't everything fine before she moved into treasure gathering? Why were the two of them avoiding each other? Even if they couldn't pierce through the feelings of both parties. But in any case, they were still siblings, okay? Love is torturous. By the time Yiqing Luo and Old Lai had finished their breakfast, Xiao Yinyan said, Do you need me to ask the Qiao family to help you find a woman with marks on her face? Yiqing Luo was just about to agree, but when the words reached the tip of her tongue, she shook her head. Forget it, it's better not to. Your second sister is still fixated on the treasure gathering, and if you make a move, she will find an excuse to create trouble again. She was injured quite badly yesterday, and father also said a few words to her. She probably won't bother you again before the auction, Xiao Yinyan explained. When Yiqing Luo heard that, the expression on her face congealed slightly as her lips curled into a crafty cold arc. She narrowed her eyes, and there was a glint in her eyes. It embellished a cunning and bottomless starry sky. What kind of wicked idea did you come up with? Xiao Yinyan felt a chill run down his spine from the smile and the look in her eyes. Yiqing Luo propped her chin with one hand and smiled very innocently. I just suddenly thought of a strong publicity method that can absolutely make the beautifying ointment famous. Xiao Yinyan said, I feel that this method of yours will cause someone to suffer. Chapter 35-56. Yiqing Luo carried the 3 bottles of beauty ointment as she walked out of the treasure-gathering hall. In case City Lord Lu and Xiao Yulu did anything secretly. Yi Qing Luo directly let Old Lai stay in the treasure-gathering hall to take charge. After that, she and Xiao Yinyan headed towards the direction of the medical hall. The minute they reached the medical hall, Yi Qing Luo saw the entrance of the medical hall surrounded by hundreds of citizens. When they saw Yi Qing Luo and Xiao Yinyan, they automatically opened up a path for them to enter. Yi Qing Luo's brows rose as she exchanged glances with Xiao Yinyan. She was now a member of the treasure-gathering hall and had offended without embroiling city's mysterious maiden, injuring her. When the citizens saw her, they were filled with respect. There was no longer the disgust they had when they looked at her previously. Such a change. Which explained it perfectly. Yesterday Xiao Yulu's action of courting death had successfully courted her own death. And she made use of this matter to increase Pei Sheng's favorable impression, which was the right thing to do. At least for now, the scale in the citizens' hearts had already leaned towards their side. Yi Qing Luo and Xiao Yinyan walked into the medical hall and saw Pei Sheng carrying the medicinal concoction, running back and forth. From time to time, he would accompany the elderly citizens and whisper something to them. Indeed, Pei Sheng was the best choice to increase the favorable impression. Sincerity was the best way to exchange for the other party's sincerity. Hearing footsteps, Pei Sheng turned around and saw the two of them walking over as he immediately stood up. "Why are you guys here?" "To see you and the citizens." Yi Qing Luo swept a glance at the surroundings. These citizens were arranged in the hall at the backyard of the medical hall, with each person lying on a straw mat. If it wasn't for City Lord Lu's words, and Xiao family bearing the expenses for these people, the medical hall would absolutely not take in so many citizens. Yi Qing Luo estimated that there were about 80 over people left in the medical hall. And all of their faces weren't as pale as yesterday, looking rather spirited. Xiao Yulu and Xiao Yinyan had injured these citizens' internal organs when they had fought against Xiao Yulu. Generally speaking, if they weren't treated in time, their internal organs would dry up or they would bleed to death. Even if they were treated, they would need a lot of time to recuperate. Therefore, most profound practitioners would rather suffer external injuries like a severed arm or a broken knuckle than suffer any internal injuries. Fortunately, there was a medicinal concoction brewed by Gu Zishi specifically for internal injuries. It could quickly heal the damaged organs of the citizens. From the intense pain in their internal organs to the relief of their upper body, the citizens could clearly feel the changes. In addition, Pei Sheng had taken care of them through the night and refused to accept any payment from the citizens. The citizens' impression and attitude towards Pei Sheng had obviously changed. Moreover, when Pei Sheng faced everyone's thanks, he simply scratched his head, saying that this was all Yi Qing Luo's suggestion and it was his little sister who had concocted the medicinal herbs and personally brewed the medicinal concoction. As for him, he was just an errand boy who came to deliver medicine to everyone. This made the citizens even more fond of him. So when he saw Yi Qing Luo, his attitude became much gentler. Yi Qing Luo wanted this kind of effect. She smiled and lightly patted Pei Sheng's shoulder. "It's been hard on you. While taking care of everyone, don't forget to take care of your own body. If you have the chance, take a good rest. Your body isn't that good either." Chapter 35-57. Yi Qing Luo's voice wasn't loud but it wasn't considered soft as everyone in the hall could hear her. The citizens all looked over. Pei Sheng's handsome face congealed slightly as he lowered his head. "I know, I will take note." Yi Qing Luo patted his shoulder. "Look at the dark circles under your eyelids, and you still say you will take note. If you don't rest, the person lying in the medical hall will be you." Pei Sheng opened his mouth and wanted to rebuke. Before he could say anything, he met with the young lady's bright eyes. He was stunned as his voice was stuck in his throat. He saw the young lady walking past him and into the middle of the hall. Her temperament was outstanding and even though she was masked with a veil, it was still extremely eye-catching. The citizens' gazes were uncontrollably congealed on her. When Yiqing Luo walked into the main hall, her bewitching eyes smiled as she looked at the crowd. If any of you are not feeling well, you can ask me. I'm an alchemist and I can take care of you. Let Auxian go take a rest first, his body isn't very well. The citizens looked at Pei Sheng's pale complexion and the dark circles under his eyes and hurriedly said, no matter, we don't need to take special care. Boss Pei, hurry and take a rest, you can't waste your body like this. There's only 4 days left for the auction. As the boss of the Treasure Exchange Hall, you must perk up. We're fine, there's no need to specially make a trip to send us medicine. That's right, these medicines, the doctors in the medical hall all said that this is a top-grade medicine for treating internal injuries. It's a waste for us to drink it. The Treasure Exchange Hall is about to take part in the auction and your lives are usually very tight, don't waste the medicinal herbs for us. The citizens started to speak out one by one and their tone was filled with gratitude and concern towards Pei Sheng. Actually, everyone was mutual. If you treat me well, I'll treat you twice as well. Treating people sincerely would always be reciprocated. These citizens might have hurt Pei Sheng, hurt the Treasure Exchange Hall before. But this was also human nature. No matter if the matter 5 years ago, the Treasure Exchange Hall embezzled and cheated the best trading house's honor was true or false. The citizens didn't mind. They might want to believe in the Treasure Exchange Hall. But, they were also afraid of what if. Humans were like this, afraid of hurting themselves and hurting their own interests. Naturally, they would avoid this, what if. But now, the citizens' attitude towards Pei Sheng had changed. It was because he believed in Pei Sheng's character. He had personally verified Pei Sheng's character. Listening to the citizens' words, since 5 years ago, Pei Sheng, who had never enjoyed the attention of others, actually had red eyes in front of everyone. Yiqing Luo shot him a look. Pei Sheng didn't return to the treasure gathering hall to rest. He took a straw mat from the main hall and went to the inner hall to rest. Pei Sheng went to rest and the task of serving medicine to the citizens fell into Yiqing Luo's hands. When Yiqing Luo delivered the medicine into the hands of the citizens, they didn't dare to receive the medicine. For them, Yiqing Luo was like a fairy. Let the fairy bring them medicine? They really didn't dare to take it. In addition, Qiao Yinyan also helped Yiqing Luo to serve the medicine to everyone. The citizens were even more terrified. Should they laugh at the blessings of their ancestors, or should they be moved and cry? She was a celestial maiden from the underworld palace who dared to offend even the Empyrean fairy and the city lord. A genius youth, the Qiao family's young master Qiao. These two big shots were giving medicine and water to a group of cannon fodder. Chapter 35-58. Yiqing Luo saw the fear and uneasiness in the citizens' eyes. She smiled even more gently. Her long and narrow eyes were curved, forming a demonic and charming arc. Mysterious fairy was targeting me, so she acted without any explanation in Without Embroiling City. In order to protect me, young Master Qiao stepped forward, which is why he hurt you innocent people. Yiqing Luo said gently, so the reason why you are hurt, is because of me. She passed a bowl of medicine into the hands of a citizen and went to fill another bowl. You don't have to feel any psychological burden, this is what we should do. No, Miss D, this matter is not your fault. Yes, we don't blame you. Don't say that. You are also innocent, this is all you lose. This person was about to complain but was interrupted by Yiqing Luo. This is Without Embroiling City, no matter what mysterious fairy does, it is right. The citizen swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. That's right, this was Without Embroiling City. Princess Yu Lu was Without Embroiling City's mysterious fairy. He was just an ordinary citizen. If he offended Princess Yu Lu, his ending would be terrible. Thank you Miss D for stopping in time. The citizen heaved a sigh of relief. Yiqing Luo shook her head with a smile. City Lord Lu is funding to take care of you and nurse your health. What you need to do is to take good care of your health. Your life is more important than anything else. The citizens held the medicine bowls and looked at Yi Qing Luo gratefully. But it was also because of Yi Qing Luo's words that were so gentle. The citizens slowly accepted the medicine that Yi Qing Luo and Xiao Yinyan brought over with ease. After the medicine was all served, Yi Qing Luo checked the pulse of the citizens who were seriously ill. Then she personally wrote a new prescription for them. She took the prescription and went to get the medicine. Xiao Yinyan also followed, with Xiao Yinyan's face scanning machine around. Yi Qing Luo smoothly came to the pharmacy's storeroom. The two of them waited at the door for the apprentice to get the medicine. Xiao Yinyan leaned against the door, his black eyes stared deeply at Yi Qing Luo, seemingly thinking about something. After being stared at for a long time, Yi Qing Luo raised her eyelids. Why? Are you attracted by my beauty? You are very smart and very good at scheming. He crossed his arms over his chest and tilted his head slightly. Silver hair, hanging on his shoulders, scattered down. It made his handsome face look even more elegant and noble. In the grand hall, you deliberately worried about Brother Pei's health, and then you mentioned the treasure gathering and the grand auction. You wanted to arouse the citizens' guilt towards Brother Pei, and also indirectly wash away the bad impression the citizens have of the treasure gathering. You took care of them personally and pretended to be gentle so that the citizens would believe you. Therefore, when your skin beautifying cream appears, not only will they not question it, they'll even protect you. Xiao Yinyan paused and looked at her with a burning gaze. There was a faint smile on his face. Am I right? Can't I really worry about Sheng's health? Can't I take care of them? Also, why am I not gentle? Do I need to pretend to be gentle? Yi Qing Luo stared at him. Where's the trust between people? Can you trust me a little more and be less suspicious? Xiao Yinyan looked at her for some time and decisively shook his head. Towards you, I can't. Yi Qing Luo. Don't say it as if he knew her very well. At this moment, the pharmacy's apprentice had already brought out the medicine. Yi Qing Luo took the medicine bag and walked towards the place where the medicine was brewed. Chapter 35-59. But Luo. He paused as his voice deepened. You just need to remember one thing, no matter what, I will help you. Yi Qing Luo paused as she frowned slightly. Between her and Xiao Yinyan, they had only known each other for a day. But somehow she felt that Xiao Yinyan's attitude towards her was too special. In the span of a day and without embroiling city, Yi Qing Luo more or less understood from the citizens' discussions. Xiao Yinyan, this person, although he treated people gently and politely, but he exuded a faint sense of alienation. His figure was outstanding, his aura was imposing, making people unable to approach him. Why? Was he treating her so differently? Fell in love at first sight? No, no, no. This was impossible. Xiao Yinyan's attitude towards her was very subtle, but it didn't seem like liking her. Or was it really like what he said, he just wanted to make friends with her? Make friends? One must know, when the two of them first met, she still looked like a disheveled beggar, carried away by Xiao Yulu's maid. Just like this. She could even attract Xiao Yinyan's gaze, making him think, hey, disheveled little beggar, your disheveled look has successfully attracted the attention of this young master? This thought flashed across Yi Qing Luo's mind. Yi Qing Luo hugged her arms and shivered. Damn it! Simply too terrifying. She didn't even turn her head back as she carried the medicine bag and walked forward quickly. Just after passing through the main hall, suddenly she heard a few noises coming from outside the medical hall. Immediately she saw 3 figures rushing into the main hall. Following closely behind them were a few guards of the medical center, who were staring at the 3 figures with vigilance. These 3 people had just rushed in. This caused the citizens in the main hall to panic. There were a few citizens who were so shocked that they hurriedly crawled to the side. This action further deepened their internal injuries. Yiqing Luo's expression changed slightly as she concentrated on the three of them. The three of them were dressed in dark green robes, embroidered with a blood-like, dyed flower. The three of them had a serious expression, their brows were filled with murderous intent. Obviously, their hands were stained with a lot of blood. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes. These people came to the clinic aggressively. It did not seem like they were here to see a doctor. Among the three of them, the one who was standing in the middle walked up quickly when he saw Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo didn't move. Behind her, the citizens sucked in a breath of cold air and whispered to her to leave. But in the blink of an eye, that person was already standing in front of Yiqing Luo. He raised his hand and grabbed towards Yiqing Luo's shoulder. He attacked with great strength and speed. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly as she flipped her wrist. Her slender fingers accurately grasped the man's wrist. Kacha. The sound of bones breaking was extremely clear in the silent hall. The man's face paled, but he didn't make a sound. The two people behind him quickly stepped forward. You dare to attack? It seems like, he was the one who made the first move. Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased slightly as she glanced coldly at that pale-faced man who was holding his hand. Who are you people? What do you want to do? The man gritted his teeth and endured the pain. I mean no harm. You say no harm and it means no harm? Making a move the minute we meet. I've also said that I don't have any ill intentions when I break your hand. Yiqing Luo sneered as her lips curled. You. The two people behind were flustered and exasperated as they were about to rush forward. Stop right there. The man whose hand was broken stopped them and looked at Yiqing Luo. Is young Lady D Luo, young Lady D? Yiqing Luo raised her brows. Yes. Will young lady please make a trip with us? That man said. Chapter 3560. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laughed. If you want to politely invite me to follow you, shouldn't you introduce yourself first? Those few people exchanged glances but didn't reply. The voices of the surrounding citizens were filled with fear and astonishment. Aren't these mercenaries from the Blood Mercenary Group? That's right. They're from the Blood Mercenary Group. Their clothes have the Blood Mercenary Group's logo. Why would the Blood Mercenary Group's people come to look for Miss D? Could it be that Princess Yu Lu had invited the Blood Mercenary Group for help? When the citizens heard the name Blood Mercenary Group, they were all stunned. Mercenary groups like these were usually only seen in the wild or in extremely dangerous places. It was rare to see mercenaries roaming around the city. Especially the second-ranked Blood Mercenary Group in the Earth realm. It was even more impossible for ordinary citizens like them to see them. But now, the moment the Blood Mercenary Group's mercenaries appeared, three of them appeared. The citizens' first reaction was, Princess Yu Lu had invited the Blood Mercenary Group's mercenaries to deal with Miss D. There was a subtle change in the expressions of the citizens. The gazes towards the Blood Mercenary Group were filled with disgust rather than fear. The three of them who were stared at by the citizens had an ugly expression as they frowned and stared at Yiqing Luo. Miss D, don't waste our time. When Yiqing Luo heard the citizens' discussion, the expression on her face had already concealed the sharpness from earlier. Her slender brows were knitted tightly as her tone was worried. Did something happen to Zishi? She mentioned Gu Zishi's name. The eyes of the mercenary whose hand was broken sunk slightly. Follow us and you'll know. Noticing the change in the three mercenaries' expressions, Yiqing Luo's heart thumped and didn't continue to tangle with them. Lead the way. The three of them turned around and were about to leave. Wait. A man's panting voice was heard from behind. Pei Xing rushed up quickly, totally not fearing the mercenary's murderous aura as he pounced forward and placed both hands on one of the mercenary's shoulders. "What did you say? What happened to Zishi?" Pei Sheng's handsome face was filled with anxiety and panic. Having just woken up, he rushed over without even putting on his shoes. Her clothes were slightly disheveled, and a few strands of her black hair had loosened from the crown on her head. He was in an extremely sorry state. The mercenary's face darkened, and just as he was about to raise his hand to push away the hands on his shoulders, but just as he moved. However, he found that his shoulders seemed to be pressed down by a huge rock, and he was unable to move even half a step. What kind of strength was that? He was a mercenary of the bloody mercenary group. He was actually pressed down by a weak-looking piece of trash to the point where he couldn't move? Say something. What happened to Zishi? Pei Sheng became increasingly anxious when he saw the mercenary's gloomy expression and his silence. He couldn't help but increase the strength of his hands. The mercenary's facial features twitched in pain, and his face gradually turned pale. He struggled to break free from Pei Sheng's hands. The more he struggled, the more Pei Sheng thought about it, the more flustered he felt. His mind was filled with Gu Zishi's smile. His heart and his throat felt like it was being choked by someone, making it hard for him to breathe. Just as the mercenary's body couldn't take the load, his legs bent and was about to be pressed onto the ground. A fair hand moved slightly. Chapter 35-61. That profound energy had no attack power at all. But it made Pei Sheng move his hands away from the mercenary's shoulders. "Ah Sheng, calm down." Yi Qing Luo walked up and blocked Pei Sheng's body. "Let's follow them to take a look." Pei Sheng looked extremely dejected. When his hands left the mercenary's body, his slender body staggered a few steps back. "I can't calm down. Zishi She went to such a dangerous place like West Cliff Mountain because of me. If anything happens to her, I will never forgive myself." He muttered softly. His voice was slightly choked. "Don't guess blindly, the blood mercenary group didn't say anything happened to Zishi." Yi Qing Luo sighed and looked at the three mercenaries. "Lead the way." The three mercenaries looked at each other with an ugly expression and quickly turned to leave the clinic. Pei Sheng hurriedly chased after them. Yi Qing Luo instructed the citizens and passed the medicine bag to the medical hall's apprentice as she followed up behind them. She had just reached the entrance when she saw Xiao Yinyan following her. She paused her footsteps. "Don't follow me." Xiao Yinyan shook his head. Miss Gu followed the blood mercenary group to West Cliff Mountain. Now that they are here, it must be related to Miss Gu. "West Cliff Mountain is too dangerous, I have to follow you. Go back to the treasure gathering and ask Old Lai to rush to West Cliff Mountain." Yi Qing Luo wasn't sure if the blood mercenary group had been bribed by Qiao Yulu and deliberately set up a trap, so it was better to let Old Lai come over. "Even without the seniors from the Hell Palace, I can still protect you." Xiao Yinyan replied seriously. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips. "Because of Qiao Yulu, I already have a subtle relationship with the Qiao family. You are the eldest young master of the Qiao family. If anything happens to you because of me, Master Qiao will not let me off." "No." Xiao Yinyan replied without any hesitation. Yi Qing Luo raised her brows. "Are you so sure?" Xiao Yinyan nodded. "No matter what happens to me, I am willing to do it. Father will not blame you for this, absolutely not." Yi Qing Luo. She felt a shiver when she heard these words from Xiao Yinyan's mouth. Willingly? Why does it sound like something a pitiful male antagonist would say to the female lead? Yi Qing Luo took a deep breath and rubbed her arms. "You don't mind, but I mind. I don't want to be involved with the Qiao family in any way." As she walked out of the clinic, she continued, "To be honest, I don't mind being friends with you, but I don't need more progress. If Qiao Yinyan suffered some kind of injury because of her, even if family head Qiao really didn't care. She, Yi Qing Luo, still owed the Qiao family a favor. He would still be involved with the Qiao family. The Qiao family was a large family that coexisted with City Lord Lu's faction in Without Embroiling City. Once he was tainted by this kind of aristocratic family, it would be very troublesome. Her only goal now was to find Dmo Xian. Then, they would search for her biological parents. Qiao Yinyan didn't reply. Behind him, there was no sound of footsteps following. Yiqing Luo didn't turn back as she walked straight ahead. He had only taken a few steps. Xiao Yinyan's somewhat hoarse voice came from behind her. Do you love him very much? Yiqing Luo's footsteps stopped abruptly as she frowned. She didn't quite understand the meaning behind Xiao Yinyan's question. But she didn't have any hesitation. Chapter 3562. Xiao Yinyan didn't speak for a long time. Yiqing Luo remained silent for a moment as she sensed that the bloody mercenary group's presence was getting further and further away. She didn't bother about Xiao Yinyan anymore as she hurried towards the direction of the presence. The wind brought Xiao Yinyan's deep voice. What a pity. Very, very slight. Almost inaudible. Pity? What's a pity? Yiqing Luo was stunned, but very quickly, she threw this matter to the back of her mind. She hurriedly chased after him. West Cliff Mountain. Although this West Cliff Mountain was called a mountain. But at the entrance, at first glance, it was an extremely dangerous and terrifying dense forest. Behind the lush trees were towering mountains that pierced through the clouds. But on this mountain range, there was an extremely strange black yin qi floating, constantly twining. When Yiqing Luo walked to the West Cliff Mountain, in an instant, she felt that even the sky seemed to have darkened. It made one's heart inexplicably surged with a sense of oppression. This dense forest was similar to the forest that she had seen previously. After stepping into the periphery, it was basically a row of ancient trees, covering the sky and the sun. The lush branches and leaves covered everything. The only difference was, it was probably that this forest was more like a wild forest. There was a dangerous atmosphere in all directions, making one's heart turn cold. After Pei Sheng stepped into the West Cliff Mountain, the expression on his face became more and more grave. His hands that were hanging by his side, clenched and clenched from time to time. Until they walked into the forest for a while, Yiqing Luo could vaguely see those layers of mountains not far away. Perhaps it was because the bloody mercenary group had already cleared the route along the way, so they didn't meet with any danger. Just that the deeper they walked, Yiqing Luo felt, the stronger the sense of crisis. Yiqing Luo's expression congealed slightly. The danger of the West Cliff Mountain, your mercenary group should be clear about it. Under the circumstances of bringing Zixi along, you still managed to explore so deep? The three mercenaries who were walking in front had an ugly expression on their faces. We are here to complete a mission, not to play. Since the mission is dangerous, we shouldn't have agreed to bring Zixi along. Yiqing Luo's originally calm heart couldn't be controlled as it started to palpitate uneasily. The mercenary who had his right arm broken heard this. The pain in his arm and the girl's overbearing attitude made the suppressed anger in his heart surge. Who do you think you are? How dare you point your fingers in front of me? It was not because of Bloody that Miss Gu was trapped in Xia Mountain. It's because of you, this useless brother. He pointed angrily at Pei Sheng. Pei Sheng's face paled. Trapped in the West Cliff Mountain? For me? What do you mean by that? What happened to Zixi? The mercenary snorted coldly. To pick some essence gathering grass. They say that it can be paired with other herbs to strengthen your body. Pei Sheng's expression seemed as if it had frozen on his face, and it was completely pale. Now isn't the time to blame yourself. Yiqing Luo patted Pei Sheng's shoulder. Let's rush over to take a look first. Pei Sheng gritted his teeth and nodded with reddened eyes. The three mercenaries looked at Pei Sheng with hatred and disgust. But they didn't continue to speak as they quickly moved forward. Yiqing Luo had been paying attention to the mercenaries' reactions. And it was even more certain that Gu Zixi and the bloody mercenary group had some kind of close relationship. Otherwise, the second-ranked gold-ranked mercenary group in the Earth realm. Chapter 3563. Even if Gu Zixi had once saved the bloody mercenary group's leader, that wouldn't make the bloody mercenary group hate Pei Sheng just because Gu Zixi was in danger. Yiqing Luo concealed the deep meaning in her eyes as she followed behind them. Walking deeper, they walked for about half an incense's time. Yiqing Luo felt that not far ahead, there were quite a number of experts' aura gathered. There were also figures floating and low voices of conversation. Someone heard the commotion over here and hurriedly went forward. "Have you brought the person?" That person was also dressed in the bloody mercenary group's uniform. His face was filled with worry. When he rushed over, his vision immediately fixed on Yiqing Luo. His face was filled with joy as he pounced towards Yiqing Luo. You are the D Luo that Zixi mentioned, right? You can definitely save her, right?" Yiqing Luo moved sideways, avoiding that person as she sized up the person in front of her. The man was about 20 years old, handsome, and his brows were filled with anxiety. Assistant Group Leader. A few mercenaries came up from the front. "Group Leader is rushing us." That man who was addressed as Assistant Group Leader clenched his fists. "Miss D, you must save Zixi." Yiqing Luo looked at the few mercenaries in front of her. Their faces were filled with anxiety and worry. Especially the Assistant Group Leader. He was extremely worried about Gu Zixi. Obviously. This Assistant Group Leader's feelings towards Gu Zixi were not ordinary. Yiqing Luo subconsciously looked at Pei Sheng. Pei Sheng's body was trembling slightly as he quickly walked towards the direction where the mercenaries came from. The weeds and vines on the ground wrapped around his legs. He didn't feel anything as he forcefully pulled his legs closer to that side. Yiqing Luo's brows knitted even tighter as she chased up while asking the Assistant Group Leader beside her, "What happened?" Zixi said that she smelled the essence gathering grass and insisted on coming inside to pick the herbs. A group of us followed over to help. Speaking of this, the Assistant Group Leader's expression turned ugly as he glanced at Pei Sheng's direction and retracted his gaze. When Zixi was picking the essence gathering grass, she alarmed the magical beasts in this area. The magical beasts' actions were too sudden, and before we had time to take action, Zixi was blown to the other side by the magical beast's breath. I don't know if she stepped on something or if there's an array there. Zixi disappeared into thin air. Yiqing Luo looked towards the direction where the Assistant Group Leader was pointing. Not far away, there were a few stalks of essence-gathering grass growing under a few ancient trees. There were also many rare herbs of excellent quality mixed in. As an apothecary, he couldn't resist the temptation of medicinal herbs. It was no wonder that Gu Zixi wanted to pick these herbs. And further ahead. That was the direction Gu Zixi had been flung in, the direction the vice leader had said. It was still an ancient forest that covered the sky and the earth. There was nothing special about it. Only by going there personally would he know why Gu Zixi had disappeared into thin air. "Why do you know to look for me? How can you be so sure that I can save Zixi?" Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at the Vice Group Leader as her half-squinted eyes flashed a ray of brilliance. Vice Group Leader didn't notice Yiqing Luo's gaze as he kept staring at the direction where Gu Zixi disappeared, his eyes filled with worry. After Zixi disappeared, we heard Zixi's voice shouting. "Voice?" Yiqing Luo frowned. "Shout what?" Chapter 3564. Yiqing Luo didn't respond immediately as her brows knitted even tighter. Seeing that Yiqing Luo didn't take any action, the vice leader was obviously anxious. "Miss D, Zixi kept calling your name before she disappeared, you must save her, right?" The more he spoke, the more anxious he became. He stretched out his hand to grab Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes and moved her wrist to block the vice leader's outstretched hand. Zishi is my friend, I will try my best to save her. The vice leader was restless. I will go with you. I must confirm Zishi's safety. Yiqing Luo looked at him and shifted her gaze to the place where Gu Zishi disappeared. Gu Zishi disappeared into thin air. It was too strange. If she didn't remember wrongly. Before Gu Zishi left treasure gathering, she was still at treasure gathering, having breakfast. But now, after she disappeared, she was able to accurately let the mercenaries run to the medical hall to look for her. How did Gu Zishi know that she would go to the medical hall? That person who asked for help, was it really Gu Zishi or someone else? If it was someone else, then what was the motive of the person behind it? There was a very uneasy feeling spreading in her heart. So uneasy that even the profound phoenix ring on her fingertip was emitting a scorching heat. Profound phoenix ring? There was a reaction. Yiqing Luo's eyes suddenly lit up as she quickly lowered her head and stroked the profound phoenix ring with her slender fingers. The profound phoenix ring was the only medium for her to contact Xian. As long as the distance was close. She could use the profound phoenix ring to form a reaction with the profound dragon ring on Xian's hand. There was a reaction, that meant, she could sense Xian. Yiqing Luo's eyes stared at the flickering red light on the profound phoenix ring. She stared for a while. There was no special change on the surface of the profound phoenix ring. It was as if the scorching heat from before was just an illusion. She pursed her lips and couldn't hide the disappointment in her eyes. It seemed, it was really an illusion because she was too uneasy. Miss D? Miss D? She heard a few calls. Yiqing Luo regained her senses and saw the vice leader frowning and looking at her unhappily. He even waved his hands in front of her face. At this time, they had already reached the place where the bloody mercenaries were standing. The bloody mercenary group had about 60 to 70 people. The most eye-catching person was a tall and slender woman who was surrounded in the middle of the crowd. The reason why the woman was so eye-catching was not only because of her unique temperament. There was also the greenish-black blood-red uniform that was different from everyone else's. The woman was dressed in a tan-colored, eye-catching attire. Red embroidery embroidered the outline of a blood-like flower. The woman's appearance was very elegant, like an orchid in an empty valley, exuding a pure beauty. However, the woman's eyes were firm and her gaze was like a torch. It made the woman's beautiful face look completely different, a powerful aura of arrogance that shook the heavens and shook the world. The two extremely contradictory temperaments fused together. But Yiqing Luo didn't feel out of place at all. On the contrary, he felt that this woman should be like this. Leader of the bloody mercenary group. Yiqing Luo greeted the lady. The woman raised her eyebrows, her torch-like eyes stared at Yiqing Luo. How did you know I am the group leader? Generally speaking. A mercenary group, unless it was a female mercenary group, otherwise. There would basically not be a situation where a woman became the leader. So if they didn't explain. Chapter 35-65. Yiqing Luo was neither fast nor slow as she met the lady's gaze. I can tell that your aura is the most obvious here. Looks like I have to rein in my aura in future. The lady laughed lightly, but there wasn't any smile in between her brows. That's right, I'm the leader of blood color, Su Qingbing. You're indeed like what Zishi said, a rare talent. No wonder she was the leader of the second-ranked gold-ranked mercenary group. Every move she made was filled with oppressive might. Yiqing Luo's lips curled. Now isn't the time to be courteous, Leader Su must be very anxious. Of course. Su Qingbing's vision looked towards the direction where Gu Zishi disappeared. If I wasn't the leader of blood color, I would have followed up the moment Zishi disappeared. It's right not to follow her. Yiqing Luo could tell the sincerity in Su Qingbing's eyes. What she said wasn't just a polite greeting. Yiqing Luo could tell that the relationship between her and Gu Zishi was very deep. As a group leader, there are many things that you have no choice but to do. No matter what happens, your identity is first the leader, then the brother, then the companion. Yiqing Luo understood this point very well. If it was the time when she was in the World Mercenary Group, she would have made the same choice as Su Qingbing. It wasn't that she didn't care about Gu Zishi or her own brother. But, the moment an unknown danger fell on them as the leader, as the backbone, the entire group's morale would be disrupted. The backbone absolutely couldn't have any accidents. Hearing Yiqing Luo's words, Su Qingbing's expression changed slightly. Are you also a group leader? No. Yiqing Luo shook her head and changed the topic. Did you send anyone over to check on the situation there? Su Qingbing didn't pursue further. Her worry towards Gu Zishi was greater than her curiosity towards Yiqing Luo. She replied, the magical beasts in this territory have been loitering around the surroundings. Once we make a move, there's a possibility of attracting the nearby magical beasts and they will attack us together. I'm not sure what happened to Zishi, and if we act rashly, I'm afraid we might hurt her. Yiqing Luo nodded. I'll go over to take a look first. You guys help to lure the magical beasts away. After that, don't act rashly, wait here for me and Zishi to return. It didn't matter if Gu Zishi's sudden appearance was an accident or a trap. She had to bring Gu Zishi back personally. If it was a trap, then this trap was definitely targeted at her. Saying that, Yiqing Luo leapt upwards and skimmed towards the front. Just as he steadied himself, he sensed that someone was following him. She turned her head and saw Pei Sheng's pale face. I want to go too. Yiqing Luo didn't reject it, only saying, be careful, follow me closely, and speedily headed towards the direction where Gu Zishi disappeared to. Yiqing Luo's movements were extremely fast, but it still alarmed the magical beast. Su Qingbing and the others immediately tangled with the magical beasts, giving Yiqing Luo and Pei Sheng a chance to get close to them. The two of them approached the place where Gu Zishi disappeared. Yiqing Luo felt a gust of chilly wind blowing towards her. This is bad, lass. This is a formation. In his mind, Old Man Tsang's surprised voice resounded. Yiqing Luo's heart trembled. Formation? Which means that Zishi disappeared into thin air because she fell into the formation. You can say that. Old Man Tsang was solemn. This aura is very strange, there's something strange about this formation. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips. Ah Sheng, it's very dangerous, hold on tight to me. She stretched out her hand to grab Pei Sheng's arm. But before her hand could touch Pei Sheng, her 5 fingers grabbed empty air. Where was Pei Sheng's shadow behind her? Not only that, they were no longer surrounded by the lush forest from before. Even the Blood Mercenary Group and the others had disappeared without a trace. Yiqing Luo frowned fiercely. This was the illusion of the formation or another space. The situation had become more dangerous. She couldn't find Gu Zishi and Pei Sheng had disappeared. She had to quickly decode the formation in this place. Based on Old Man Tsang's words, they had stayed here for too long. It would be extremely harmful to Gu Zishi and Pei Sheng. Yiqing Luo was preparing to sense the direction of the Yin Qi in the formation. Suddenly, a steady and powerful footstep was heard from behind. There was an extremely familiar scent lingering in his nostrils. Chapter 3566. Lil Luo, A familiar gentle voice called out her name. That voice was gentle and gentle. As though the name that voice called out was that person's most pitiful name. In Yiqing Luo's pupils, it was reflected with that tall figure. Like the scorching sun, using its scorching temperature to make all the fear and uneasiness in her heart completely dissipate. The man's face was peerless and all the light in the void seemed to have gathered on him. His jet-black hair fluttered, his purple robe billowed. The white fog which lingered in all directions surrounded him, floating in spirals. His entire person was indescribably elegant, indescribably evil. Yi Qing Luo's heart almost jumped out from her throat. Her eyes stared at him. Staring at him greedily. Lil Luo, The man opened his mouth, his voice was so gentle that water could be squeezed out. He slowly walked towards her. Yi Qing Luo's petite body trembled slightly, her feet were unable to move. Her slender fingers clenched tightly, as though she was suppressing the throbbing in her heart. Xian. A trembling voice spilled out from her pink lips. Her eyelashes fluttered violently. Her eyes almost turned red. The man in front of her, wasn't he? Dmo Xian? It's me. Dmo Xian's peach blossom eyes congealed deeply on Yi Qing Luo's face. Lil Luo, it's me. He walked towards her. His imposing figure was tall and straight, bringing along a unique sandalwood scent which belonged to him. Yi Qing Luo, however, took a step back. Her slender fingers were deeply embedded into her flesh. She pursed her lips hard, until her lips turned white. The man's footsteps which was nearing her stopped, as his eyes stared at her. As though he understood what she was thinking, he laughed. This is an illusion, but I am not an illusion. Yes. From the moment the man appeared. Yi Qing Luo was certain that this man in front of her was an illusion in the illusion. It was an illusion through her inner heart. Trying to make use of Dmo Xian, to confuse her heart. She didn't move, nor did she break the illusion in front of her. Just because she missed Dmo Xian. Very much. Very much. Thinking that even though she knew this man in front of her was an illusion, she still wanted to see his face. Hearing him call her little Luo, after the man explained, the girl still did not have any reaction. He sighed helplessly and immediately raised his left hand, using the back of his hand to face Yi Qing Luo. Lil Luo, in order to find you, I've spent quite a lot of effort. If you're unable to recognize me at first sight, I'll be very sad. On the man's left hand, there was a red jade ring, flowing with red light. Vaguely, a dragon head could be seen moving with the flowing light, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. The Netherworld Dragon Ring. Yi Qing Luo's eyes widened as she speedily raised her hand. As expected, the profound phoenix ring on her finger was also flashing with a red light. They were extremely agitated. It seemed to be communicating with the Netherworld Dragon Ring. Only the appearance of the Netherworld Dragon Ring could cause such a huge reaction from the Netherworld Phoenix Ring. The person in front of them was really Xian. The change in the profound Phoenix Ring that she had sensed outside the array was not an illusion. Now, can you prove my identity? Dmo Xian chuckled, his charming peach blossom eyes raised, looking very elegant. Xian. Yi Qing Luo bit her lower lip, as her eyes turned even redder. Dmo Xian opened up his arms. I'm very angry that you can't recognize me at first sight. How are you going to coax me? The moment his arms opened up, the young lady had already dashed into his arms. Both her hands were tightly wrapped around his waist. Chapter 3567. Familiar body temperature. Familiar smell. Everything filled her nose. Dmo Xian, who felt that he was so needed, gave a soft laugh. His head rested on the young lady's head. His strong arms wrapped her petite body tightly in his arms. A familiar warm kiss fell on her face. Yi Qing Luo almost choked with sobs. Xian, I missed you so much, I missed you too. Dmo Xian's lips finally fell on her lips. The gentle touch swept away all the haze in her heart. He forcefully hugged her tightly. As if he was afraid of being separated from her again. Yi Qing Luo tiptoed, hooked her arms around his neck and took the initiative to kiss him. Until she was somewhat out of breath. The two of them then separated by some distance. Their foreheads touched each other's forehead. His eyes reflected the other party's face. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laugh. We haven't seen each other for a few days, but it feels like we haven't seen each other for a few months. I feel that I really can't leave you. From the time she woke up in the Earth realm until today. It was only 3 days. But she felt that she hadn't seen Dmo Xian for a very long time. Hearing Yiqing Luo's words, Dmo Xian's expression suddenly congealed as he suddenly pressed her shoulders and pulled apart the distance between them. He lowered his eyes and stared at her with his burning black eyes. How many days? I've been looking for you for more than half a month. More than half a month? Yiqing Luo was stunned. I just arrived at Without Embroiling City. Today is the 3rd day. How could it be? She paused. Oh yes, I woke up 3 days ago near the city gate of Without Embroiling City. I was especially disheveled and unkempt. Dmo Xian couldn't possibly lie to her. Dmo Xian had been looking for her for half a month. Which meant, she had actually stayed in the Earth realm for more than half a month. Before she woke up 3 days ago. She might have been in a deep sleep all this while. This could also explain why she looked like she walked out of the beggar's sect when she woke up. Do you still remember where you were swept to in the upper realms passageway? Dmo Xian's expression turned grave. Yiqing Luo shook her head. My memory is, when I was in the passage to the upper realm, I was sucked away by a force and fainted. When I opened my eyes again, it was 3 days ago when the mysterious fairy of Without Embroiling City returned to the city. Dmo Xian frowned slightly. Do you know who brought me to Without Embroiling City? When she had been in the passageway, she hadn't noticed what power had sucked her away. Dmo Xian remained silent for a moment. It's the Nether Palace. Palace of Darkness? Yiqing Luo's pupils suddenly contracted. Why did the people from Palace of Darkness suck me away for? Logically speaking, I lost my way in the passageway and should have been teleported to any other plane. However, when I opened my eyes, I was already in Without Embroiling City in the land. If it was someone from the Dark Palace, shouldn't they be trying their best to stop her from coming to the Earth domain? Why did they send her to the Earth domain? He even chose Without Embroiling City, which was the furthest away from Shadowless City. Most importantly, there were no signs of injury on her body. Her profound jade heart was still there. The sacred beast pearl in her body was still there. Nothing was missing. This wasn't the style of the Palace of Darkness. No matter how hard Yiqing Luo scratched her head, she couldn't think of a reason. Dmo Xian was also unable to guess the motive of the Palace of Darkness's action. Chapter 3568. Yiqing Luo raised her head in his arms. Her chin rested on his chest as she blinked. Are Kitty Cat and the rest with you? Dmo Xian's kiss landed on her nausea again. Kitty Cat has been looking for you all this time and suffered a lot. Kitty Cat, that lass. Just thinking about it, Yiqing Luo could guess what kind of worrying things Kitty Cat would do to find her. She tightened her arms around Dmo Xian's waist. Xian, are you in Shadowless City? Why is it that after I reached the Earth realm, the profound Phoenix Ring and your profound Dragon Ring are unable to sense each other? Aren't the profound Phoenix Ring and the profound Dragon Ring separated by a space or different planes so they are unable to sense each other? We have indeed reached Shadowless City. I know that if you are still in the Earth realm, you will definitely come to Shadowless City to look for me. Dmo Xian held her hand as his slender fingers gently caressed the profound Phoenix Ring on her fingertip. Logically speaking, the profound Phoenix Ring and profound Dragon Ring's connection should be able to sense each other even if they are separated by 2 cities. His fingers interlaced with hers and interlocked with hers. He continued, not only the profound Dragon Ring is unable to sense you, even the blood connection between you and Kitty Cat has no reaction. Yiqing Luo replied, right, I am also unable to sense Kitty Cat. What is going on? Initially, I thought you were not in the Earth realm. When Dmo Xian said this, his arms uncontrollably wrapped around Yiqing Luo. His strong arms and the masculine pheromones emanating from the man's body were proclaiming how lucky he was in his heart. Fortunate that he had finally found her. Did you think I had been swept into another plane? Yiqing Luo hugged him back. Yes. I almost barged into the upper realms passage. Dmo Xian's chin rubbed against her shoulder. Should I punish you for making me so worried? When he spoke, his breathing was very shallow. Lightly sprinkled on her skin. Her cheeks were slightly flushed, and because of his words, her body was slightly hot. But her rationality had not been lost because of his seductive charm. She changed the topic. How did you know I was here? How did you come in? As soon as she finished speaking, Yi Zichen's eyes widened. Yiqing Luo could obviously feel the man's body tensing up in an instant. Although it was only for a moment. But Yiqing Luo was certain that she had truly felt it. After tensing up for a moment, the man's body relaxed again, and his tone was very relaxed. I heard that a woman called Di Luo made a bet with the Empyrean lady of Without Embroiling City. She said that she would take out a treasure that would shock the entire Earth domain during Without Embroiling City's auction that is held once every 5 years. At this point, he paused. His voice was low, magnetic, and hoarse. When I heard the name Di Luo, I rushed over. He laughed. His laughter was clear and smooth, coupled with his magnetic husky voice. His voice was like a feather tickling her heart. Di Luo. Is little Luo so impatient to take her husband's surname? Yiqing Luo's face turned even redder. However, the more Dmo Xian spoke, the more relaxed he became. The more he teased her, the more he diverted her attention. If she hadn't noticed the man's tension just now, she would really be cheated by the current Dmo Xian. Chapter 3569. Ever since she stepped into the West Cliff Mountains formation, Yiqing Luo had an ominous premonition. She had always felt that this formation was a ruse from the start. A scheme to make use of Gu Zixi to lure her into the formation. If it wasn't for Gu Zixi, she wouldn't have appeared in the West Cliff Mountain, nor would she have stepped into this formation. If Dmo Xian only heard her name and came to Without Embroiling City, it was absolutely impossible for him to know that she was in the West Cliff Mountain. Thinking back to Dmo Xian's first reaction earlier, Dmo Xian could find her. I'm afraid. It wasn't that simple. Yiqing Luo's expression suddenly turned solemn. She raised her hand and grabbed his lapel, then frowned. Ah Xian, tell me, how did you find me? Her eyes locked onto him, saying word by word, I want to hear the truth. Dmo Xian looked at her deeply. Then he sighed helplessly, little Luo, sometimes, don't be so smart. Ah Xian. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips, her slender brows knitted into a ball, I don't want you to get hurt because of me. Previously when he went to the upper realm, he left a trace of consciousness in her pendant, protecting her. But in fact, he was injured in the upper realm. And then his consciousness was injured in order to protect her. I am with you because I like you, I love you, I want to be with you forever. Yiqing Luo looked at him closely, her tone was very sincere. I don't want to increase your burden just because I am with you, I don't want you to get hurt every time because of me. Speaking of this, her voice was already choking a little. She wrapped her arms around Dmo Xian's neck and buried herself deeply in his arms. Ah Xian, I don't want anything to happen to you, just like you don't want to see any accidents happen to me. We love each other the same way. The young lady's sincere confession. This was the young lady putting her softest part in front of him. His heart felt like there was a warm current spreading. Dmo Xian looked at her deeply. His eyes were burning like a raging fire. After some time, he seemed to admit defeat as he leaned against Yiqing Luo's slender body and sighed deeply, Lil Luo, I can't win you in words, nor can I escape your eyes. Because what I said makes sense. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips, so, in order to find me, what harm have you done to yourself? The flames on Dmo Xian's body instantly dissipated and he looked at her pitifully as he spoke in a low voice, then you can't be angry. Yiqing Luo, her heart softened at the sudden cuteness. What should she do? That was against the rules. The man in front of her had a face of peerless elegance and a pair of shimmering peach blossom eyes that were filled with a pitiful feeling of being wronged. Anyone who looked at him would feel heartache. It was like déjà vu of a little puppy. This was completely different from when Dmo Xian was poisoned by the love worm. The Dmo Xian at that time. Although it still felt like a large loyal dog. But at that time, he was like a blank piece of paper. Other than being cute, there was only being cute. But now. Dmo Xian's pitiful look. Between his brows and that outstanding imposing manner, there was a kind of mischievous aura. The two merged together. Yiqing Luo. Nosebleed. The more she looked at him, the cuter he looked. What should she do? This man must have known that she had no immunity to his face. Always intentionally using the seduction tactic on her. Chapter 35-70. Yiqing Luo took a deep breath. I'm not angry. Really? Dmo Xian blinked his peach blossom eyes, vividly displaying his innocence. Yiqing Luo took another deep breath and clenched her fists. Really? Dmo Xian revealed a satisfied smile. That smile was as dazzling as the warm sunlight, making his peerlessly handsome face appear even more pure and clean. A pair of shimmering black eyes were like rippling water, extremely dazzling. Yiqing Luo couldn't bear it anymore. She raised her hands and covered Dmo Xian's face. Two small palms covered the man's mouth and eyes. Hurry up and tell me, I'll be angry if you don't. Yiqing Luo really felt that her overlord was developing more and more into a coquettish fox. From time to time, he would seduce her soul. He wouldn't stop until he saw that she was head over heels in love with him. If this evildoer was seen by others, wouldn't it shock the world? Dmo Xian didn't tease her anymore. His eyes were full of tender smiles, like ripples of spring water, unparalleled. He hugged the young lady tightly and spoke in a low voice, calm down and listen to me. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips, her face was full of displeasure. I'm very calm now. Dmo Xian caressed her fine black hair and immediately released her body as he took a step back. Yiqing Luo frowned. The man's temperature disappeared instantly. She felt inexplicably flustered. She wanted to reach out and grab him again. But halfway, she clenched her fists and retracted them. She pursed her lips hard and looked up at him, waiting for his answer. After taking 2 steps back, the man gave a low laugh. That laughter was filled with helplessness. He opened his arms. His purple robe fluttered without any wind. Like rolling clouds, floating dust. Yiqing Luo's hand on her chest, clenched even tighter. A pair of charming eyes stared at Dmo Xian, not even daring to blink. Just at this moment, a gust of cold wind whistled past. The purple robe swayed with the wind. Swaying. Yiqing Luo discovered that Dmo Xian's body started to become transparent in the wind, as if he was going to disappear at any time. Especially in this dangerous array formation that was filled with yin qi. Dmo Xian's figure turned transparent, as though he was about to merge into one with the array. Yiqing Luo's pupils suddenly widened. A layer of mist covered the bottom of her eyes. You're in a spirit-body state now. Yes. The Dmo Xian in front of him was exactly the same as old man Tsang. He was a spiritual body. He was actually a spiritual body. What was going on? I knew that if you knew about this, you would definitely be sad. Looking at the young lady's shocked, guilty and pained expression, Dmo Xian sighed helplessly. He walked towards Yi Qing Luo once again. Using this translucent spiritual body, he pulled her into his embrace. I didn't want to see you sad, that's why I didn't want to tell you. The body of the man in the spirit body state was no longer as warm as before. Instead, it carried a hint of coldness. His cold kiss landed on her forehead. I'd rather bear everything by myself than see you frown because of it. That kiss was like an icy spring, sliding down her forehead and into her body. As the kiss deepened, the man's body slowly solidified again. The temperature was also gradually rising. Chapter 35-71. Yi Qing Luo's heart twitched fiercely as she hugged him tightly. You fool, do you think I would want you to take risks for me? I will feel sorry for you, it will only make you feel worse. Dmo Xian smiled and patted her head, his voice softened. I can't bear to let you worry about me, so I will not let anything happen to myself. Yi Qing Luo suddenly buried her head into his arms and rubbed against his chest fiercely. This action made Dmo Xian laugh out loud. Yi Qing Luo raised her head, her eyes were watery. Is what you said true? Nothing will happen to you? Yes, it's true. Dmo Xian smiled and nodded. I used this method just to find out where you are. Yi Qing Luo didn't respond, just looked at him deeply. The strength of her hands gradually increased. After a while, she raised her lips and revealed a smile. Yes, I believe you. Dmo Xian smiled and raised his hand, his big palm pressed on her head and pressed her into his arms. At the moment when he pressed, the man's smile froze on his lips. His expression was somewhat dignified and cold. Only when he touched the young girl from the corner of his eyes, he could faintly see a trace of warmth. Of course, the man who was silent in his thoughts. He didn't notice that the moment the young girl was pressed into his arms, the smile on his face disappeared. Yi Qing Luo lay in his arms, her eyes wide open. Her eyes were as black as thick ink. At a glance, she couldn't see the bottom. In her mind, old man Tsang's voice continued, Girl, Dmo Xian really went all out to find you, it's not as simple as what he said. Spiritual body is equivalent to the human soul. Extracting the soul from the body will cause great damage to the body. Especially for a powerful person like Dmo Xian, his soul power is very strong. To appear here in the form of a spiritual body, he must have consumed most of his profound energy. If Dmo Xian's consciousness returns to his body, I'm afraid he will have to rest for a long time. From the moment Dmo Xian said that he would not let anything happen to her, old man Tsang refuted Dmo Xian's words in her consciousness. The more she listened, the sadder her heart became. Especially listening to Dmo Xian's clear and melodious laughter, gently comforting her. He didn't want to tell her. He didn't want her to worry. Then she would pretend that she did not know anything. If she really exposed Dmo Xian in front of everyone, he was extremely worried. This would only make Dmo Xian more uncomfortable. Yi Qing Luo held back the moisture in her eyes and made herself more rational. Why must he take such a risk? Only in my spiritual form can I accurately sense your location through the profound phoenix ring. It's very likely that he appeared in the formation through the connection between the netherworld phoenix ring and the netherworld dragon ring. That's why he happened to meet you in the formation. Old man Tsang sighed. There should be a forbidden spell placed on your body. Forbidden spell? Yi Qing Luo frowned. Old man Tsang's voice was grave. That forbidden spell has severed your connection with everything that can create a connection with you. Didn't you notice that from the moment you woke up to the moment you entered this array formation, the profound phoenix ring, you, and the beastmen and felines were unable to establish a magnetic field? Sometimes I can't even sense what's happening to you in the outside world. Chapter 3572. Old man Tsang remained silent for a moment. It has been like this for the past few days. I couldn't sense the magnetic field outside from time to time. Even when you were fighting with Without Embroiling City's mysterious maiden, my senses were intermittent. He paused for a moment and continued. Earlier the Overlord said. He had been searching for you for half a month, and my memory started from 3 days ago like you. Ah Xian said that the person who made a move on me in the passageway was someone from the Dark Palace. Yi Qing Luo's expression was gloomy. The forbidden spell on me was definitely done by the Dark Palace. Old man Tsang said, after you and the Overlord met in this formation, the obstruction between you and me seemed to have reduced by a lot. Yi Qing Luo asked, what is the motive of the Dark Palace to cast the forbidden spell on me? Everything that the Palace of Gloomy Darkness wanted was still with her. Could it be? The Dark Palace only wanted to cast the forbidden spell on her, so they made a move in the passageway? No. Definitely not like this. If it was really the Dark Palace. After knowing that she had made a contract with the 4 sacred beast pearls as her lifeline. It would definitely devour the 4 sacred beast pearls' energy. No matter what, it couldn't be left for her. Just as Yi Qing Luo was deep in thoughts. Her earlobes suddenly hurt. She groaned in pain as she raised her head and stared at the initiator. But she met with a pair of incomparably bright eyes, like a blossoming peach forest. What are you thinking about? So lost in thought? The man's hoarse voice was filled with displeasure as he said that and bit her earlobe again. A slight pain was felt from her earlobe. And it was accompanied by a numbing feeling, which spread throughout her body. Yi Qing Luo's cheeks were dyed red by this evil action as she stared at him angrily. The next moment, the man's warm kiss extinguished all the anger in her eyes. His kiss landed on her eyes. It was mixed with the man's deep voice, being with me, how can you be so lost in thought, and still have the face to glare at me? Yi Qing Luo's legs turned to jelly. She coughed lightly as her little hand clutched his clothes. No, nothing. She wanted to refute. She saw the man's faint smile. He continued decisively, I'm just thinking, where are you right now? How long will it take for you to find me after your spirit returns to your body? Or should I go look for you? Bring up this topic. The man's smiling eyes darkened for a moment. However, he still maintained a gentle smile on his face. Yi Qing Luo knew. The man's mood was low because, he hadn't figured out how to explain to her that he needed to recuperate after returning to his body. He had to recuperate in peace. The withdrawal of the spirit body was too harmful to the human body. Yi Qing Luo pretended that she didn't notice his gloomy mood and continued to smile, I'll go look for you. I'll head over after I've settled the matter in Without Embroiling City. Dmo Xian rubbed her head and didn't continue Yi Qing Luo's words. Instead, he stretched out his hand, curled his slender fingers and scraped the tip of her nose. Look at you, no matter where you go, you always make people worry. You've only woken up for 3 days and you're already at odds with Without Embroiling City's mysterious maiden, and you've even been set up in such a sinister formation. Yi Qing Luo held his hand. There are always unruly people who want to harm me, I'm also helpless. Chapter 3573. Soul-sucking. Yi Qing Luo's eyes widened, how could there be such an array? The world is so big, nothing is too strange. Dmo Xian caressed her head, although your willpower is strong, but if you encounter this kind of array, after a long time, you will eventually be unable to guard against it. Yi Qing Luo's expression changed drastically, oh no. If it's sucking souls, Zishi and Ah Sheng. Ah Sheng? Dmo Xian narrowed his peach blossom eyes, the man who followed you in just now. You saw him? Yi Qing Luo nodded, do you know how he disappeared? How should I find him? Just as he finished his words, Yi Qing Luo felt a chill down her spine. She shut her mouth and widened her eyes, staring at the direction where the chill came from. The man's lips curled up, his peach blossom eyes were like a deep pool, staring at her. His gaze was warm. His smile was warm. But inexplicably, Yiqing Luo felt her whole body trembling. Dmo Xian's broad palm covered her hair. His slender fingers fiddled with her hair bit by bit. He smiled, clear and moist, calling him so intimately, "And earlier you even took the initiative to hold his hand? Looks like you care a lot about that man called Ah Sheng." His tone was calm and indifferent. His tone was calm and composed. But every word was like a thunder, exploding in Yiqing Luo's heart. Rub rub rub. Sounded the first level alarm. The Overlord's vinegar jar was overturned again. Yiqing Luo's entire aura instantly weakened. Both her hands automatically wrapped around the man's neck. The delicate young lady's voice was as sweet as a silver bell. "With such a dear husband like you, how can I put anyone else in my eyes? Where can I find such a perfect husband like Ah Xian in this world? So in my eyes, everyone else are just people with one mouth, one nose and two eyes. People, just people." She deliberately emphasized the word people, indicating that everyone else were just people. Cannon fodder that need not be taken seriously. However, the young lady's coquettish attitude didn't make the man's expression moved at all. His peach blossom eyes were still curved. Mo Yao's dark eyes were so deep that no one could tell what he was thinking. "For you to say so much for him, he must be very important," he said lightly, his voice a little cold. Yiqing Luo threw herself into his arms. "I swear, I have no other feelings for you." "Ah Sheng, cough, Pei Sheng, Pei Sheng." She called out Pei Sheng's name a few times before continuing. "Pei Sheng has someone she likes. The reason I care about him is because there's a conflict of interest between us. If something happens to him and Zishi, I'll be in trouble in Without Embroiling City." The girl explained with a serious look in her eyes, causing the man to be unable to help but laugh. Yiqing Luo then reacted when she heard that unbearable laughter. You did it on purpose." Dmo Xian laughed, his chest vibrating. "No. It would be weird if he wasn't. You are deliberately trying to trick me to coax you." Yiqing Luo was flustered. This man, when he became childish, she really had nothing to say. Dmo Xian laughed heartily. While laughing, he leaned over and whispered into her ear, "I am jealous." His breath was very warm, spraying on her ear, making her involuntarily shrink back. "Of course, I also want to hear you call me husband. If you call me a few more times, I won't be jealous. How about that?" His next sentence successfully made Yiqing Luo blush. Chapter 3574. Dmo Xian looked at her hurriedly leaving figure as the smile in his eyes grew increasingly gentle. He watched for a while and followed up. The two of them walked side by side as they released their senses, paying attention to the surrounding movements. It was totally different from the lush forest in West Cliff Mountain. In front of them were layers upon layers of mountain ranges, undulating continuously. Qi lingered around and even the air was filled with an eerie chill. Large stretches of mountain range trapped the few of them in it. Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian had passed through quite a number of mountain ranges and treacherous mountain paths. Along the way, the two of them didn't meet with any danger. But they didn't see any other living beings appearing. Not even the presence of living beings could be sensed. No response. She had no way to ascertain where Pei Sheng and Gu Zishi were in the array. Furthermore, as time went by, the influence of this array on Yiqing Luo became more and more obvious. It looked like the person who designed to lure her into this array wanted to make use of this array to suck her soul. Yiqing Luo stopped in her tracks as she pulled Dmo Xian to a clean cliff to rest. After this stretch of journey, she seemed to be walking aimlessly. But in actual fact, she had memorized the entire mountain path and terrain of the array in her mind. This array looked like it really wanted to trap her inside. Unless she could find the array and break this array. Otherwise, it was impossible for her to find Pei Sheng and Gu Zishi. Not to mention bringing them back safely. Lil Luo, Dmo Xian looked at the young lady's increasingly pale face as his heart ached. I'll send you out. I'll save the two of them. Xian. Yiqing Luo leaned into his arms as she raised her head slightly and shook her head at him. I want to save the both of them, but I can't bear to let you take the risk. Leaving you alone in such a dangerous and sinister array, I'm even more worried. Dmo Xian was now in a spiritual body state. To put it bluntly, a spiritual body was actually a soul. This array was used to suck a person's soul. Dmo Xian was in this array and the damage he suffered was huge. If it wasn't for the fact that she was very clear that before she left the array, Dmo Xian would absolutely not leave. Otherwise she would have asked Dmo Xian to leave the array long ago. Now it was even more impossible for Dmo Xian to look for Pei Sheng and Gu Zishi alone. Dmo Xian sighed helplessly as he gently stroked her hair. Their eyes met. At the same time, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. They were both the same. Neither of them could leave the other in danger and leave by themselves. Since that's the case, we can only forcefully break the array. Yiqing Luo smiled. Who asked us to? Neither of us can leave each other. Dmo Xian smiled and nodded. What do you want to do? Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes narrowed slightly as an undetectable glint flashed past her eyes. The array is dead, but people are alive. Dmo Xian saw through Yiqing Luo's thoughts at one glance as he suppressed his voice and laughed softly. Looks like Lil Luo already has an idea. It can't be considered as having a solution. Yiqing Luo's eyes curved into a crafty arc. The terrain of this formation had already formed a small map in her mind. The formation was oval in shape. The surrounding layers upon layers of undulating mountains, in Yiqing Luo's mind, turned into round dots. Using a thin line to connect all the round dots. Chapter 3575. Yiqing Luo pondered for a long time in her mind. She couldn't tell what exactly that totem was. Any discovery? Dmo Xian could almost guess what Yiqing Luo was thinking at the same time when he saw her expression. Yiqing Luo told Dmo Xian about her discovery and said, I feel that this totem should be the key to the array. She paused and suddenly her eyes lit up. Could it be that these mountains are the pillars of the array? If I destroy the connection point between the mountains and the array, will I be able to break this array? Looking at the smiling expression on the young lady's face, Dmo Xian's expression turned gentler. His slender fingers gently caressed the young lady's eyes. You can give it a try. When her eyes met with the man's gentle gaze, that trace of uncertainty in Yiqing Luo's heart was completely smoothed out. In her eyes, there was a resolute expression. She could give it a try. This was the freedom that Xian gave her. Xian used her way to let her grow. Because he understood her. So he wouldn't make the decision for her. He would also give her space to find her own way to solve it. Using his way to tell her. Even if she failed, he was still around. Yiqing Luo's brows were filled with a deep smile as she suddenly leaned forward and planted a kiss on the man's lips fiercely. After that, she quickly stood up and turned into a blazing red shadow as she headed towards the mountains in front. At the moment when the young lady left, no one noticed that Dmo Xian's body had turned transparent for a moment. But very quickly, it congealed back into a solid body. As though, earlier, it was just an illusion. Only, Dmo Xian's expression seemed to have understood a lot. Yiqing Luo's figure stopped at the side of the cliff. Bending slightly, she could see the bottomless abyss below. With a slight movement, Stones rolled down from the side of the cliff without making any sound. Yiqing Luo confirmed her current position according to the topography in her mind. After that, from the side of the cliff, down. She leapt. Her figure fell rapidly. The young lady's red dress fluttered like a butterfly's wings. Her ears were filled with the howling of the wind, scraping against her skin. Yiqing Luo didn't release any profound energy to slow down her falling speed. Just like that, with a calm expression, he fell down without even a scream. The speed of his fall was extremely fast. In just a few breaths' time, Yiqing Luo had already fallen halfway up the mountain. But, at this moment, the girl's falling body suddenly flashed with a white light. A giant white tiger caught the girl firmly. Immediately after, the giant white tiger roared at the sky. The girl moved, and a red feather fan unfolded at her fingertips. She was like a cannonball being shot out, bringing with her a majestic and thick aura as she charged towards the waist of the mountain. Like a hot knife through butter. Just as the glower flame fan in Yiqing Luo's hands released a thick profound energy and was about to strike over. Boom! A deafening explosion reverberated, causing Yiqing Luo's ears to buzz. Yiqing Luo only felt that her hand was numb from this surge of energy. Bang! Another extremely strong elastic force struck against Yiqing Luo's body. She was sent flying backward. Master! Chi immediately went up and caught Yiqing Luo. After Yiqing Luo sat on Chi's back, she heaved a sigh of relief and frowned as she looked ahead. In front of her, there was no change in the entire mountain. Chapter 3576. That's right. She unleashed all her profound energy and struck out, trying to break this mountain peak from the middle of the mountain. But it didn't affect the mountain peak at all. Earlier, Yiqing Luo clearly felt a strong rebounding force. All of her power was reflected back at her. The surrounding air was still reverberating with the aftershocks. Lil Luo, On the mountain peak, a purple shadow flashed past. But in a blink of an eye, it had already reached Yiqing Luo's side. He stretched out his hand and pulled the young lady into his arms. Are you all right? I'm fine. Yiqing Luo shook her head in his arms. Looks like my guess is right. All the mountain peaks here are the medium to link up the array. If it wasn't so, the mountain peak would absolutely not produce any rebounding force to avoid her attack. Dmo Xian looked at the young lady in his arms, her slightly pale face as his eyes revealed an unspeakable heartache. I took a look earlier. The array here is based on the position of the 5 elements and 8 trigrams. As long as we find which mountain peak is the array I of this array, we will be able to break the array. Yiqing Luo frowned slightly. There are at least 100 over mountain peaks here. In these 100 over mountain peaks, to find the array I, she couldn't just attack and probe the mountains one by one. This method, it would only make her energy deplete faster. The longer you stay in the array, the more damage it will cause to your body. Especially when you use your profound energy, it will only accelerate the absorption of your soul. Dmo Xian's expression congealed as he tightened his arms. From the man, Yiqing Luo felt a deep worry and concern. She stretched out her arms and circled around his waist. I know, I can still hold on now. Don't worry, I won't bear to leave you. She raised her head and her chin rested on his chest. Her long and narrow eyes were curved, embellished with endless warmth. She smiled. Until the last moment, there's still a sliver of hope. I don't want to give up so easily. I will use the 5 elements and 8 trigrams to deduce the direction of the array I. If I really can't hold on any longer, I will tell you. Looking at the young lady's determined gaze, Dmo Xian could only sigh helplessly. Don't force yourself, I will be here. Yiqing Luo smiled at him. As the overlord's woman, there's nothing I can't do. Dmo Xian's figure flashed as he leapt to the middle of the other mountain, his gaze fixed on Yiqing Luo without blinking. On the other side, Yiqing Luo straddled Chi-Chi's back as her eyes scanned the surroundings quickly. At the same time, he quickly filtered the simple totem in his mind according to the positions of the 5 elements and 8 trigrams. "Girl, this old man suddenly has an idea." Old man Tsang suddenly said. Yiqing Luo opened her eyes. "What idea? Isn't this a soul-sucking formation?" The eye of the formation is definitely the place with the densest concentration of souls. Following old man Tsang's words, Yiqing Luo felt the azure dew bracelet start to scorch hot. Old man Tsang said, "Girl, since someone has placed a forbidden spell on your body, sealing all of your senses to the outside world, then you can try, using the power of the azure dew bracelet to break this array." Yiqing Luo's eyes lit up. That's right. She now had a forbidden spell on her. Why not use the forbidden spell as an opportunity to try activating the azure dew bracelet's power? Previously she had been worried that the azure dew bracelet would be discovered by the people from the upper realm. She had always concealed the azure dew bracelet well. But now, with the forbidden spell on her body. Chapter 3577. Outsiders wouldn't be able to detect the azure dew bracelet's presence. What do I need to do? Yiqing Luo asked. If it's a soul-sucking formation, you can use your own spiritual sense to deal with it. Old man Tsang paused and said, extract your consciousness into the azure dew bracelet and use the bracelet's power to sense it. After you use the 5 elements and 8 trigrams to eliminate the remaining mediums, mountain peaks, the place with the densest soul power will be the eye of the array. Speaking up to here, old man Tsang reminded, however, even if you have a forbidden spell, you still need to control it. Moreover, you better find the eye of the array within the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn. If you consume too much of your spiritual sense, your willpower will easily weaken, and your soul will be sucked away by the spell formation. Yiqing Luo nodded. She closed her eyes again and quickly eliminated the surrounding mediums. She injected her consciousness into the azure dew bracelet. When her consciousness entered the azure dew bracelet, Yiqing Luo only felt a scorching hot feeling in her heart. Her body swayed slightly. A streak of red light appeared from the azure dew bracelet. It meandered forward bit by bit. When Yiqing Luo opened her eyes again, she was shocked to find that everything in front of her was completely different from before. In front of her, the hundreds of mountain peaks surrounded by yin qi had all turned into black light balls emitting evil qi. Each light ball was covered with a thin layer of fluorescent light. This fluorescent light should be the protective cover of these mediums. It was the protective shield that had reflected her attack just now. Lass, these are the mediums of the array. Old man Tsang explained, the mountain peaks you saw before were all a smokescreen to confuse your attention. Yiqing Luo had a feeling that she had activated her fiery golden eyes mode. She could see through all things in the world. To tell the truth, looking at these hundreds of light balls emitting black light, Yiqing Luo's heart was still somewhat apprehensive. But, finding the place with the densest soul power in these light balls was much easier than finding the eye of the array among the hundreds of towering mountain peaks. Time was of the essence. Yiqing Luo didn't hesitate and quickly scanned through the areas that hadn't been eliminated. Through all kinds of calculations in her mind, Yiqing Luo's line of sight finally stopped at the most remote and inconspicuous place. Found it. She patted Chi-Chi and quickly headed in that direction. That was the formation's blind spot. It was also the safest place. The closer they got to that place, Yiqing Luo's senses became stronger. In fact, they could almost see that the eye of the black sphere of light was faintly discernible, as long as the formation eye was destroyed. He could destroy this formation. He could only save Pei Sheng and Gu Zixi. Yiqing Luo had just neared the eye of the array. The gourd flame fan in his hand had yet to release his Xian energy to destroy it. Suddenly, the formation eye orb flashed. That black demonic chi which covered the light ball, directly charged towards Yiqing Luo's arm. "Little girl, the eye of the formation wants to swallow you." Old Man Tsang reminded her in her mind. Yiqing Luo's brows creased slightly, her attacking wrist suddenly flipped, the glower flame fan flipped and changed from attack mode to defense mode, blocking in front of her. Bang! The black evil energy collided violently with the devouring flame fan. A horrifying bouncing force sent Yiqing Luo and Chi flying out once again. Chapter 3578. The black evil chi was still wantonly circling around. It looked at Yiqing Luo like a tiger watching its prey. Just one exchange of blows. Yiqing Luo could clearly feel her soul trembling inside her body. It was as if something was tearing at her soul. Was the array eye trying to forcefully use the array to suck her soul? Yiqing Luo's face turned pale from the tearing pain. Her pair of charming eyes stared at the black evil chi in front of her. The black balls of light from all directions shot toward the evil dragon one by one. When she saw this scene, Yiqing Luo's heart inexplicably started beating uneasily. As if something ominous was about to happen. "Quick! You must break the array eye now. Otherwise, after the array eye fuses with all the other mediums, I'm afraid your soul will not be able to bear the burden." Old Man Tsang said loudly in shock, his tone full of panic. Yiqing Luo frowned. This array actually had spiritual intelligence? It actually wanted to fuse with other array mediums to deal with her? It looked like the person who set up this array and lured her here had made up his mind to let her die in this array. Boom boom, boom boom boom, suddenly, a deafening explosion sound caused the entire array to tremble uncontrollably. She saw those hundreds of balls converging towards the evil chi. The entire empty space presented a kind of dusky and oppressive feeling. Vaguely, something that looked like a dragon but wasn't a dragon gradually formed, the array eye's spirit. Old Man Tsang exclaimed in astonishment, "Who set up this array? Even the array eye's spirit has been awakened." Array eye's spirit? Yiqing Luo was very puzzled. Old Man Tsang explained simply, the array eye's spirit is equivalent to the artifact spirit of a divine relic. But, if an array wants to form an array spirit, it is 100 times more difficult than a divine relic. In layman's terms, this array had already formed its own spirit. It had its own spiritual intelligence. Yiqing Luo also learned something new. She didn't expect that the array could form an array spirit. Can the array spirit deal with it? Yiqing Luo asked hurriedly. Old Man Tsang's tone was solemn, before the array eye's spirit is completely formed, it must be destroyed. Otherwise, we'll all be trapped in the formation. In the sky, the shape that resembled a dragon but was not a dragon gradually became clearer. Yiqing Luo clenched her glower flame fan tightly. "I understand." She raised her eyes and met with Dmo Xian, who was looking at her worriedly not too far away. The man's face was cold, and his brows were tightly knitted together. His eyes were filled with worry. Looking at his tense body, it was as if he was suppressing his emotions that were about to rush forward. Yiqing Luo's heart instantly felt warm. He was clearly worried about her. But in order to let her grow, he controlled his emotions. This was also his wholehearted trust in her strength. Yiqing Luo's lips curled upwards and was just about to open her mouth to ask him to come over. Among the evil aura and the creatures that looked like dragons but weren't dragons, a slender figure leaped out. That person wielded a long sword, and his sword momentum was swift and fierce as he charged over. The murderous aura was thick and extremely flamboyant. At the moment when the sword momentum approached, Yiqing Luo quickly retreated backwards, evading the attack. She frowned, looking at the figure that suddenly appeared in front of her, her expression congealed. "Xiao Yulu?" The woman in front of her was dressed in a spotless white robe, and between her brows were full of malice and resentment. The woman didn't wear a veil, and that beautiful face was revealed just like that. From the expression of the woman's brows, Yiqing Luo recognized the woman's identity at one glance. Chapter 3579. After meeting Dmo Xian, the veil on Yiqing Luo's face was removed by him. The young lady's devastatingly beautiful eyes were flirtatious. The beauty pierced Xiao Yulu's eyes. Yiqing Luo raised her head and looked at the dragon-like yet not dragon-like species in the sky as she frowned. "Why are you here?" "Of course I'm here waiting for you, waiting to end your life with my own hands." Xiao Yulu's face was malevolent as she bellowed venomously. Yiqing Luo was astonished as her tone was filled with bewilderment. "This array is set up by you?" Xiao Yulu raised her chin as her eyes were filled with arrogance. "Of course, only you are so silly. You've only known someone for 2 days and you're willing to take the risk for him." Hearing Xiao Yulu's reply, the doubt in Yiqing Luo's eyes deepened. Xiao Yulu absolutely did not have the ability to set up such a sinister array. But looking at Xiao Yulu's complacent look, apparently, this matter had something to do with her. Someone was helping her behind the scenes. Who was the person who helped her? Why would they put in so much effort for such a small fry like her? One must know that this was the Earth realm and not Nirvana realm. Could it be? Because she had insulted Mysterious Fairy, it was Ling Long Palace's people who humiliated them. So Ling Long Palace put in so much effort to set up this array, in order to help their Mysterious Fairy, to slap their face? Yiqing Luo pursed her lips slightly as her gaze congealed as she stared at Xiao Yulu for some time before replying coldly, "A person like you, of course, would not understand this feeling." "I don't want to understand. I only want your life." Xiao Yulu laughed maniacally as the long sword in her hand flew up as she unleashed her sword strike towards Yiqing Luo. Xiao Yulu's sword strike was ferocious and filled with murderous intent. Each and every move was extremely ferocious. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but frown. Logically speaking, Xiao Yulu was already seriously injured yesterday, so it was impossible for her to have such a vigorous posture now. Furthermore, Xiao Yulu's ability seemed to have gotten stronger. Yiqing Luo evaded left and right as she barely avoided Xiao Yulu's attack. Her gaze kept sweeping across Xiao Yulu's body. "D. Luo, this consort advises you to obediently surrender. Since you care so much about those 2 pieces of trash, I'm sure you don't want them to get hurt." After a few moves, Xiao Yulu realized that she couldn't even touch the corner of Yiqing Luo's clothes. The expression on his face became even more twisted. Yiqing Luo's expression changed. "What did you do to Ah Sheng and Zishi? This is my array, what do you think I will do to them?" Finally seeing Yiqing Luo's expression change, Xiao Yulu's heart instantly felt carefree. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes turned cold, her cold gaze was treacherous and gloomy. "If you dare to lay a hand on them, I can make sure that you can't be the mysterious maiden of Without Embroiling City." "How arrogant!" Xiao Yulu sneered disapprovingly. "Who do you think you are? Do you think I can't see through your profound rank? You're just a tiny profound sky practitioner, yet you dare to act so arrogantly in front of me?" Xiao Yulu's dark force shook. The vast profound energy was like a surging wave, surging violently. 5th grade Sage Profound Realm. Sage Profound 10th grade. Paragon Profound Rank 15. Bang! The air shook violently. That berserk profound energy suddenly exploded. The light of the Spirit Profound level shrouded Xiao Yulu. Spirit Profound. That was close to the God level. It could be called God. The violent airwave made Yiqing Luo's heart feel extremely uncomfortable. Chapter 3580. D. Luo, if it wasn't for my big brother's help, how many of my attacks could you have withstood? Looking at Yiqing Luo's pale face, Xiao Yulu sneered as her brows were filled with complacency. She pointed her sword at Yiqing Luo, merely a stray dog, how dare you flaunt your prowess in front of me. Yiqing Luo mobilized the power of her profound jade heart to protect the meridians within her body. The power of the divine phoenix profound heart jade allowed her to breathe more easily. She frowned and stared at Xiao Yulu warily. He was astonished. If she didn't remember wrongly, Xiao Yulu's strength should be on par with Xiao Yinyan's when they fought earlier. Yesterday at the entrance of the gathering treasures, Xiao Yulu had attacked her without the slightest bit of mercy and had been filled with killing intent. However, Xiao Yulu's attack was easily blocked by Xiao Yinyan. She had heard the commoners discussing Xiao Yinyan's profound rank. He was at the 15th level of the Sage Profound Realm. He was a young genius who was about to step into the Spirit Xian realm and become a god. Even if Xiao Yinyan might have concealed his profound rank, it could only be said that he had already stepped into the early stages of the divine profound realm. No matter how high Xiao Yulu's profound rank was, he was definitely not better than Xiao Yinyan. But now, Xiao Yulu's attack and profound rank were obviously different from yesterday. This profound rank was so powerful that it made it hard for her to breathe. Although Yiqing Luo's current profound grade was only at the 9th grade of Sky Profound Realm, which was only one breakthrough opportunity away from Xian Profound Realm. However, her true strength was far beyond the profound rank of the Sky Profound Realm. Especially previously, the two opportunities for breakthrough had been suppressed by Dmo Xian within the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade. As long as her body was able to withstand the burden of the breakthrough, she could ascend to the Sage Profound Realm at any time. Of course, this didn't mean that the newbie who had just entered the Sage Profound Realm could match Xiao Yulu, who was at least at the 10th level of the Sage Profound Realm. After all, after the Profound Sky Realm, it was a difference of 1 grade. That was the difference between heaven and earth. It could only be said that Yiqing Luo had the double protection of the Tranquil Bead and the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade. Facing Xiao Yulu's oppressive might, she wouldn't be affected as much as others. But, the current Xiao Yulu was obviously not normal. The change in Xiao Yulu's profound rank was too obvious. Especially, Xiao Yulu, who was carried away yesterday and was almost schemed against by City Lord Lu using his son, now looked completely fine. She seemed to have thought of something, and her long and narrow eyes narrowed. Suddenly, he looked in a certain direction and blinked. A trace of craftiness flashed across his eyes. She curled her lips into a mocking smile. Mysterious fairy, do you really think I'm that gullible? You think you can set up such a formation? Do you know what this formation is? When Xiao Yulu heard that, her expression changed drastically, as though her sore spot had been poked, as she gritted her teeth and stared at Yiqing Luo. This array is set up by me. I am the Empyrean fairy of Without Embroiling City. I can take your life with a flick of my finger. Heh, if this formation was really set up by you, you wouldn't have appeared here. Yiqing Luo sneered as her lips twitched, as her eyes overflowed with ridicule. This array is a soul-absorbing array. Xiao Yulu's expression changed. His grip on the longsword tightened visibly. Chapter 3581. Yiqing Luo crossed her arms as she replied calmly, looks like you're indeed not the one who set up this array. She raised her eyes slightly and a hint of coldness could be seen from the corner of her eyes and the tip of her brows. Xiao Yulu tried her best to hold on. Stop trying to be mysterious over there. No matter what this array is, my only aim is to end you with my own hands. Following her sinister voice, every single word was spat out from her mouth. Her entire body's flame continued to rise. The powerful aura pressure was like a huge wave, as though it was going to swallow everything in the world. No, no, no. You've got something wrong. As long as we're sure that this array is not set up by you, then. Even if you die, it won't affect Ah Sheng and Zishi. Yi Qing Luo raised a finger, the expression on her face was light and indifferent. Let me die. Ha ha ha. This is the funniest joke I've ever heard. Xiao Yulu laughed out loudly. Di Luo, aren't you too confident in yourself? The confident person is you. Yi Qing Luo looked at her smilingly. Following that, she raised her hand and pointed behind Xiao Yulu. Who told you that I don't have any helpers? Almost instinctively, Xiao Yulu turned around to look. Not too far away, a tall figure was suspended in mid-air. His purple robe billowed like rolling clouds. Yin Qi lingered around and she couldn't see the man's face clearly. But she could clearly see the man's peerless elegance behind the haze. Danger. This was Xiao Yulu's first reaction when she saw the man. Her face instantly turned deathly pale. Just as she was about to move. Suddenly, a gust of wind attacked her from behind. Following that, a sharp blade was pressed against her throat. The young lady held a feather fan in her hand and the dagger on the fan handle seemed as though it would slice Xiao Yulu's neck in the next moment. Xiao Yulu gritted her teeth. Despicable. Despicable? Yi Qing Luo laughed lightly. That doesn't exist. I'm just reminding you out of goodwill that I'm not fighting alone. Who knew that you'd be so dumb to even turn your back to me? She clicked her tongue as she leaned close to Xiao Yulu and gave a ridiculing smile. Yesterday you stood there and let me hit you, today you stand there and let me kill you. Tell me, this mysterious maiden, why are you so dumb? Xiao Yulu wanted to struggle. But Yi Qing Luo used a little more strength. The sharp blade cut Xiao Yulu's neck. Thick blood oozed out from her neck. Xiao Yulu felt a stab of pain. Her face turned pale and she didn't dare to move again. Yi Qing Luo held her tightly and immediately raised her head as her vision looked towards the horizon. Xiao Yulu had stirred things up. The figure that was originally faintly discernible on the horizon had become increasingly clear. The black ball of light was still lingering around the evil aura. Yi Qing Luo gauged with her eyes. There were about 20 black orbs left. The spirit of the formation core was about to completely fuse with it. Xiao Yulu was just a cover. It was just a tool to delay her from destroying the formation of the Formation Eye spirit. Lass, there's no time left. Once the Formation Spirit Eye is completely formed, we'll really be trapped inside. Old Man Tsang reminded him anxiously. I know that you didn't let Dizun take action because you were worried that the Array Eye spirit would devour Dizun's spiritual body. But in the current situation, if Dizun doesn't take action, none of us will be able to escape. Yi Qing Luo's fingers which were holding onto the glower flame fan suddenly tightened. The sharp blade embedded a little deeper into Xiao Yulu's neck. Yi Qing Luo's face was a little pale. The Array Eye spirit. If it's really as powerful as you said, Xian is now in a spiritual body state. Using a spiritual body to go against the Array Eye spirit that was sucking souls. Chapter 3582. The Overlord is so powerful, since he came to the spirit-devouring array with his spiritual body, it means that he has sufficient preparation. The Overlord will not do anything that he has no confidence in. Old Man Tsang said anxiously, if the Overlord is willing to take action, the Array Eye will definitely be destroyed. Otherwise, if this drags on, when the Array Eye spirit is completely formed, all of us will be trapped in the array. By then, our souls will be sucked by the array and everyone will die. Yi Qing Luo looked at the horizon, the species that looked like a dragon but not a dragon. It quickly merged with that black light ball. The evil aura became thicker. That species seemed to have opened its mouth wide, revealing its sharp fangs. It was as if it wanted to devour everything within the formation. Her fingers on Xiao Yulu's shoulder suddenly tightened. The sound of bones breaking was heard, as though Xiao Yulu's shoulder was about to be dislocated. Xiao Yulu screamed miserably. She wanted to struggle. But her skin was cut by the sharp blade on her neck once again. Shut up. Yi Qing Luo gritted her teeth as she berated coldly. Her mind seemed to be in a mess, making her unable to sort it out, and unable to calm down to consider things. You lass. If it was you, you would definitely choose to use your spiritual body to stop the formation of the Array I spirit without any hesitation. How could old man Tsang not feel Yi Qing Luo's inner struggle? He sighed helplessly, but when it concerns the Overlord, your straightforwardness and decisiveness will all disappear. But lass, you have to think clearly, the Overlord took the risk to come to the spirit-devouring Array for you, is it to die with you? Yi Qing Luo's eyelashes trembled violently. Her pink lips pursed tightly as her vision looked towards the front, at the man who was quickly approaching her. Her heart felt as though there was something mercilessly tearing it apart. Lil Luo, Dmo Xian's long arm wrapped around her waist as he looked up at the horizon, at the species that had already formed. We can't stay here any longer, we must destroy the Array I immediately. Not knowing if it was an illusion. Yi Qing Luo felt that Dmo Xian's body was slightly cold. Was it an illusion because of uneasiness? Lass, now is the time. Let's work together with Venerable Sovereign to destroy the formation I. Old man Tsang kept urging. Yi Qing Luo's fingers clenched tightly as she shut her eyes tightly, almost using all the energy in her body. She spat out the words, "All right. Destroy the eye of the formation." Hearing Yi Qing Luo's words, a smile surfaced on Dmo Xian's face. He lowered his eyes, his peach blossom eyes gazing tenderly at the girl. He smiled. If you didn't say anything, I would have done it myself and helped you first. But you took the initiative to ask me, and that made me even happier. Yi Qing Luo also wanted to laugh. The corners of his mouth twitched, but he couldn't smile no matter how hard he tried. Her eyes gradually reddened. She fixed her eyes on Dmo Xian and said word by word, "Be careful, you must ensure your own safety. We can definitely break this formation. So, nothing must happen to any of us." Dmo Xian bent down and planted a kiss on her forehead. "Before I turn you into the real imperial madam, nothing will happen to me." As soon as he finished speaking, the man quickly flew towards the direction of the formation core spirit. When he went up against the formation core spirit, his purple long robe fluttered as it was blown by the demonic chi. His jet black hair fell on his shoulders as he bared his fangs and brandished his claws. His brows were icy cold as his thin lips curled up slightly. A bloodthirsty cold smile bloomed on his lips. Boom. Chapter 3583. The enormous and berserk profound energy instantly shook off the evil energy that lingered in the surroundings. The 10 over light balls which had yet to merge with the Array core spirit were also pushed back by this vast energy. Roar, in midair, the dragon-like creature suddenly moved. It let out a deafening beast roar. That beast roar turned into a wave in the air as it spread in all directions. Dmo Xian's peach blossom eyes raised his hand as his slender fingers pointed forward lightly. The violent and strange profound energy spread wildly in all directions. It easily covered the beast's roar and the shockwave that came out of it. Xiao Yulu, who was being restrained by Yi Qing Luo, stared at the sky in horror at that godlike man. She could feel it clearly. That man just raised his hand slightly. The energy that was released from his body was majestic and vast. She absolutely believed. As long as the man's energy was aimed at her, she would absolutely have no chance to resist. Thinking of this, Xiao Yulu's face instantly turned pale. Who was this man? When did Without Embroiling City have such a powerful presence? When did Di Luo have such a powerful helper? Moreover, from the looks of Di Luo and that man's relationship, it was obviously not ordinary. Xiao Yulu gritted her teeth. "Di Luo, are you lying to my brother?" Xiao Yulu's sinister gaze stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo's beautiful face, her eyes filled with jealousy. Just based on this face, she cheated her brother to be her escort. Now, based on this face, she cheated a powerful mysterious man? A slut was a slut. Xiao Yulu vented her unwillingness in her heart. Hearing Xiao Yulu's voice, Yiqing Luo took a deep breath and tried hard to adjust her own mentality. Xian was in battle. She couldn't just stand by and watch. She must strive to destroy the array core as soon as possible, to break this barrier. She retracted her gaze and grabbed Xiao Yulu's collar. Where are Sheng and Zishi? Didn't you say that I wasn't the one who set up this formation? Why are you asking me then? Xiao Yulu's face was extremely pale as blood continued to seep out from her neck, but she was still putting up a brave front. Yiqing Luo sneered, "Are you going to speak or not?" Xiao Yulu was just about to speak. He felt a chill on his neck. The sharp dagger moved up a little, moving closer to the skin of her chin. Xiao Yulu's face turned even paler, and she couldn't help but curse, "I don't know." "Oh." Yiqing Luo replied indifferently. Immediately, the dagger slashed towards Xiao Yulu's neck. "You don't know? Then go to hell." The strength of his fingertips was increasing. Fresh blood gushed out, and the smell of blood filled the air. Xiao Yulu's face turned even paler. His whole body was trembling slightly. Realizing that Yiqing Luo really intended to kill her, Xiao Yulu's tone suddenly changed, "Di Luo. You clearly already have a man you like. You even seduced my big brother. My big brother is willing to disown his own family for you. Are you going to kill my big brother's only sister?" Xiao Yulu's voice was loud. It was as if he was intentionally shouting at the man who was still fighting with the spirit of the formation core. Hearing Xiao Yulu's words, Yiqing Luo wanted to slap Xiao Yulu to death. Damn it! Her Xian was someone who could overturn a vinegar jar anytime. No matter if what Xiao Yulu said was true or not. Dmo Xian would absolutely carry on his jealousy till the end. He was already hard enough to coax. Now it was even harder to coax. Chapter 3584. I am Big Brother's blood-related younger sister. How can those sluts born of concubines be Big Brother's younger sister? If you dare to kill me, my big brother will definitely not let you off. Xiao Yulu's voice trembled. Yiqing Luo was paying attention to the battlefield while her peripheral vision glanced at Xiao Yulu. Oh. Xiao Yulu. How was she supposed to reply? Seeing the battle between Dmo Xian and the Array's Eye Spirit, the Array's Eye Spirit seemed to want to absorb Dmo Xian's soul every time it attacked. Yiqing Luo was extremely worried and didn't have the time to listen to Xiao Yulu's nonsense. Wait. Xiao Yulu sensed Yiqing Luo's murderous intent as her face instantly turned pale. I don't know where those two trash are locked in the array, but I can tell you. Who was the one who set up this array? In order to survive. Xiao Yulu was also trying her best. He decisively chose to betray his teammate. When Yiqing Luo heard that, her fingers paused as she squinted her eyes. Speak. This formation was obviously targeted at her. Yiqing Luo was initially guessing. Xiao Yulu had used her identity as the Empyrean fairy to set up this array formation and sought help from some expert. Or perhaps it was related to the Linglong Palace. However, Xiao Yulu did not know that this was a soul-devouring formation that could absorb souls. This point made Yiqing Luo dispel this idea. Xiao Yulu wasn't targeting her. Who could it be? Setting up such a sinister formation behind her back to target her? This was the Earth domain. She was just a nobody who had just arrived in the Earth domain. Who would spend so much effort to use Xiao Yulu to deal with her? Unless, the person behind her knew her true identity and was deliberately targeting her. Yi Qing Luo's expression sunk slightly as the hand which was clutching Xiao Yulu's collar tightened. Tell me the details of what happened. If I tell you, you'll let me go? Xiao Yulu froze, not daring to move. Xiao Yulu's heart almost collapsed. She tried several times to escape from Di Luo's hands. However, he discovered that his strength was not enough to break free from Di Luo's bindings. What's more, once she showed signs of it, Di Luo would move closer to her neck without hesitation. Obviously, Di Luo, this bitch's Xian rank is not high. With her strength, she should be able to easily take Di Luo's life. Why, was she completely suppressed and unable to resist? However, no matter how Xiao Yulu's heart collapsed and felt uneasy, none of them could change the current situation. Especially after seeing the extraordinary strength of the purple-clothed man. She gave up the idea of resisting even more. She had just become the Empyrean fairy of Without Embroiling City. She had yet to enjoy the glory and pleasure of being the Empyrean fairy. She could not die like this. Yi Qing Luo, don't talk nonsense. Do you know what kind of array formation this is? If you delay any longer, I won't even need to kill you. You will be devoured by this formation. Xiao Yulu's beautiful eyes flashed as she glanced at the purple-robed man who was fighting with a dragon-like creature. Until now. If Xiao Yulu still couldn't sense that something was wrong with the formation, she would be a fool. She stuttered, what array? Why was it devoured? Yi Qing Luo glanced at her coldly. Soul-devouring array, understand it. Soul-devouring? Xiao Yulu's face was filled with astonishment at these two words. Who on earth is the person who set up this array? What's his motive? Yi Qing Luo couldn't be bothered to explain further as she interrogated her. Chapter 3585. Yi Qing Luo. Black-robed man? Damn black-robed man again. Why was this black-robed man always causing trouble? What enmity did this black-robed man have with her? Always wearing a layer of black robe and doing all sorts of small tricks behind her back. When Yi Qing Luo heard the three words, black-robed man, she had an impulse to scratch the wall. This array has nothing to do with me. I didn't interfere in any of their plans. I only took a pill which they gave me, and according to the agreement, I came here to look for you. Xiao Yulu saw Yi Qing Luo's expression was filled with rage as her voice started to tremble. Yi Qing Luo frowned. What pill? I don't know. I only know that after I took the pill, the internal injury which I suffered yesterday had all recovered and my body is filled with energy. Xiao Yulu's face was filled with unwillingness, but she could only clench her teeth and answer obediently. You dare to take it when you don't know? Your heart is really big. Yi Qing Luo scoffed coldly, but in her heart, she could roughly guess that that pill was probably similar to the profound Yin Qi from the Dark Forces and the demonic Qi from the Nether Palace. Yi Qing Luo suddenly recalled that she was forcefully abducted by the Nether Palace in the Upper Realms passageway. Could it be? Those black-robed men who made use of Xiao Yulu to deal with her, were from the Nether Palace? This array was related to the Nether Palace? I've already said what I need to say. Let me go. Xiao Yulu saw Yi Qing Luo's expression becoming more and more grave as she immediately opened her mouth. Let you go? Yi Qing Luo tilted her head as she gave a chilly smile. I don't have any problem dealing with me. But you've implicated Gu Zishi, implicated my fiancé. You don't have any useful information at all. Do you think it's enough to buy your life? Xiao Yulu's face turned pale. Are you playing with me? Yi Qing Luo smiled but didn't say a word. Xiao Yulu was at most a cannon fodder. A dispensable tool. The person who set up the array was probably worried that she would destroy the array. So he made use of Xiao Yulu to obstruct her in the array. That person probably didn't expect this. Dmo Xian would appear within the soul-devouring tactic. She wasn't able to get any useful information from Xiao Yulu, so Yiqing Luo didn't waste any more time on Xiao Yulu. Sensing Yiqing Luo's intention, Xiao Yulu's face turned even paler. She stiffened her neck, trying to get away from the dagger so close. But Yiqing Luo's hand directly stuck onto it. "Wait, wait!" Xiao Yulu was so shocked that she suddenly shouted, "I heard their conversation. This can definitely be exchanged for my life." "Talk?" Yiqing Luo raised her brows. "What do you mean? Let go of me first. If you do this, I won't be able to focus." Xiao Yulu glanced at the dagger on her neck. Yiqing Luo took a look at her and directly retracted her hand, but the other hand was still clutching her collar tightly. "Speak." Xiao Yulu suppressed the urge to struggle and tried her best to relax Yiqing Luo's emotions. "I heard them talking about something regarding your soul. They said, your spirit." Her words had just left her mouth. Suddenly, she heard Dmo Xian's panicky growl, "Lil Luo, quickly avoid it." Yiqing Luo was stunned as she raised her head abruptly and looked towards the direction of the voice. She saw that species which looked like a dragon but wasn't a dragon, brandishing its fangs and brandishing its claws towards her. That species was emitting a dense evil qi. Chapter 3586. Yiqing Luo instinctively threw Xiao Yulu aside and swiftly retreated backwards. Just as she moved, her petite body crashed into a broad embrace. Her waist was held tightly by the man's arm. "Are you all right?" Dmo Xian's gentle and worried voice rang beside her ear. The man's heart was beating extremely fast. She was leaning against his chest and could feel it very clearly. He was worried about her. Which was why he was so nervous. Yiqing Luo shook her head. "You reminded me in time, I'm fine." She was fine. But Xiao Yulu, who was thrown aside by her earlier, wasn't that lucky. That dragon-like species, after losing Yiqing Luo as its target, stared at Dmo Xian, who had already protected Yiqing Luo in a safe zone. It took a step back and opened its mouth to swallow Xiao Yulu in its evil qi. "Ah, ah, ah." A miserable shriek was heard from the spreading evil qi. But in an instant, Xiao Yulu's voice stopped abruptly. Yiqing Luo's expression congealed. "Xiao Yulu, she died just like that? Because she had lost her value, so she became the Array Core's spirit's food? Or could it be because Xiao Yulu had said something which she couldn't know? Which meant that Xiao Yulu had heard those black-robed men's words. What soul? Her soul? Those people set up the soul-devouring array. It was for her soul? Be careful, the Array Core's medium is about to finish merging and the Array Core's spirit is about to awaken. Dmo Xian hugged her slender waist tightly as he reminded her in a deep voice. Yiqing Luo looked at the horizon, at the Array Core's spirit which had already taken shape and was lacking a few more black light balls before it would completely awaken. She subconsciously grabbed Dmo Xian's sleeve tightly. No. She felt that it wasn't that simple. If the Array Core's spirit is awakened, we will be trapped inside. Yiqing Luo's expression was grave. "Ah Xian, there's still for more black light balls. Before those 4 light balls merge, we have to think of a way." Dmo Xian responded. His voice was very soft, without any excess emotions. But Yiqing Luo's sharp senses detected something. She suddenly raised her head as her eyes stared intently at Dmo Xian's face. "Ah Xian, are you feeling unwell anywhere?" It wasn't an illusion. Ah Xian wrapped his arms around her body. It was still warm and comforting. However, his heart was beating faster and faster. Even his breathing was different from usual. Just now, he only spat out a single word. Yi Qing Luo could clearly tell that this word was slightly trembling. Yi Qing Luo's heart thumped fiercely. Xian, if you're not feeling well, don't force yourself. This is the soul-devouring array formation. The consumption on your spirit body is too great. Dmo Xian tightened his arms and pushed her head into his arms. His voice was deep and sexy. You're thinking too much, I'm fine. However, his hand did not exert any force. However, he was suddenly pressed down by the young girl. Shortly after, the young girl's little head popped out from his chest. When she looked up, she saw the man's pale face. It seems that a venerable sovereign in the form of a spiritual body, still has some difficulties in the soul-devouring formation. Old man Tsang helplessly sighed. If this old man hadn't just cultivated a physical body, this old man would also want to rush out and help you guys right now. This was the soul-devouring formation. Not only did it restrain Dmo Xian, it also restrained old man Tsang. Yi Qing Luo looked at the ugly expression on Dmo Xian's face as her eyes turned red. Chapter 3587. As a normal person, her body was unable to withstand the soul-devouring array. Not to mention Xian in his spiritual form. Otherwise, Xian could deal with the formation I spirit. Dmo Xian looked at the young lady in his arms and his eyes were filled with tears as he was about to open his mouth to comfort her. However, the girl's finger pressed against his lips. Don't speak. I don't want to hear your explanation. Dmo Xian sighed helplessly but didn't say another word. Yi Qing Luo hugged Dmo Xian tightly. Xian, leave the soul-devouring formation first. The hand on his waist suddenly tightened. Do you think I can leave? But if you continue to stay here, you will only consume more of your soul. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips. Xian, if something happens to you because of this, what do you want me to do? I'm fine. Dmo Xian's slender fingers clasped her lower jaw. He lowered his head, and the man's hot breath sprayed on her face. His bright peach blossom eyes stared deeply into her eyes. He said each word firmly. Lil Luoer, I cannot leave at this time. Yi Qing Luo furrowed her brows anxiously but she knew very well that it was impossible for her to persuade Dmo Xian. Looking at the man's increasingly pale face, then looking at the spirit of the formation core that was about to take shape, suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind. Xian, release the seal that you sealed in my body and suppressed my profound strength. Previously, when they fought against the Palace of Gloomy Darkness, she almost broke through, and then she contracted the Black Tortoise, sharing their energy. She was about to break through again. It was sealed in the profound heart jade by Dmo Xian. With her current strength, she was not a match for the formation core spirit. No way. Dmo Xian rejected without thinking, this is too dangerous. You're in danger too. Yi Qing Luo clenched her fists. Xian, you should believe in my willpower. I can even withstand the power of 2 divine weapons. These are all my own power, I can definitely withstand it. He didn't answer. He just pursed his lips and frowned. Boom! On the horizon, a hurricane began to rise. The last 2 balls of light surrounded something that looked like a dragon but wasn't. Boom boom boom, the evil aura continued to spread, causing the earth to shake and the mountains to shake as if it would collapse at any moment. The species that looked like a dragon but wasn't a dragon stirred up clouds and rain in the dark sky. It's too late. Xian, we don't have time to consider. Yi Qing Luo looked at Dmo Xian anxiously. Dmo Xian still did not speak. Yi Qing Luo was anxious and wanted to continue persuading. Old man Tsang's voice interrupted her. Venerable sovereign, why are you acting like a fool? With the girl's current body, even with the heart-calming pearl suppressing the profound heart jade, it is indeed unable to withstand power above the sage profound level. Otherwise, it is very easy for her to suffer the backlash of the divine phoenix profound heart jade. I am very clear on this point. He paused and continued, but you can use your profound energy to transfer into her body to protect her heart meridians. When Dmo Xian heard that, his face revealed a hesitant expression. But, not waiting for Dmo Xian to speak, Yiqing Luo's expression was grave as she asked, if Xian were to transfer his energy into my body, what kind of effect would it cause to him? This. Old man Song was stunned, apparently he hadn't thought of this question. Yiqing Luo held Dmo Xian's palm tightly and intertwined her fingers with his. The spirit-devouring array has already caused great damage to Xian's spiritual body. If he were to transfer his energy to me, how would he be able to withstand it? Chapter 3588. Lil Luo, Dmo Xian pondered for a long time and called out her name in a hoarse voice. Looking at the man's pale face, Yiqing Luo's heart was in extreme pain. She wanted to destroy this array. At least the Spirit Devourer array would not affect Dmo Xian at all. But the thought that Dmo Xian had already depleted his own energy and still had to transfer the profound energy to protect her heart meridians. Dmo Xian's body might not be able to take it. She couldn't take the risk. She couldn't use Dmo Xian to block the array without any assurance. Lil Luo, listen to me. Dmo Xian held the young lady's hand tightly as his burning eyes stared at her. To tell the truth, I'm not at ease to let you deal with the array core spirit alone. Releasing the profound energy that was sealed in Yiqing Luo's body. Then using his energy to protect Yiqing Luo's heart meridians, to prevent the energy from overloading and causing a backlash. This also indicated Yiqing Luo was going to face the array core spirit alone. Xian. Yiqing Luo's pink lips trembled as her eyes turned red. Have the both of you finished discussing? There's no more time, hurry up and decide. Old man Tsang was also anxious like an ant on a hot pan. What love, it was too troublesome, too troublesome. Look at how decisive his lass was. Just for a man, what had she become? Old man Tsang expressed incomparable disgust. Hearing old man Tsang's urging, Yiqing Luo's heart was getting more and more anxious. The man suddenly raised his hand and placed his large palm on her face. The warm palm was filled with an elegant sandalwood scent. It easily soothed the restlessness in her heart. The man smiled at her, his smile was gentle as his eyes overflowed with tenderness. Lil Luo, I believe you can do it. Yiqing Luo's heart trembled fiercely. He believed her. He had always believed in her. So he gave her the freedom to grow. So he suppressed his belly full of worries and stood by the side, watching her fall and climb up. In fact, his heart was even more uncomfortable than hers. But, it was because he believed in her. He suppressed all the worries and impulses. Resisting the urge to treat her like a canary, protecting her in the crook of his arms. Giving her the freedom. He believed her. She should trust him too. Yiqing Luo's heart had become unprecedentedly firm. She forcefully closed her eyes. I know. Xian, with your strength by my side, I can definitely do it. Dmo Xian smiled even more gently. The next moment, the man's wrist moved and suddenly pushed Yiqing Luo's body. Then, a palm landed on her back. Boom! Yiqing Luo suddenly felt a huge buzzing sound in her head. Shortly after, he felt a boundless and terrifying aura explode within his body. The dark force that was slowly pouring in was extremely turbulent. It was as if her meridians were about to burst. It was a little stifling and painful. But Yiqing Luo could clearly feel it. The continuous influx of energy had actually slowed down a lot. That unending stream of profound energy spread throughout her limbs and bones. It enveloped her internal organs, her heart and meridians, at the same time. Her heart was abruptly engulfed by a raging inferno, enveloping her heart. In a split second, she felt as if a volcano was erupting, constantly exploding in her head. His chest was swollen. She furrowed her brows in pain. But she bit her lower lip tightly to stop the cries of pain. This was the sealed energy. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.